15-game hitting streak, the longest by a Dodger this year. Longest since Matt Kemp hit 19 straight last year. Andre Ethier back in there. Then Casey Blake red hot. James Loney swinging the bat well. Matt Kemp, Juan Castro. Brad Ausmus doing the catching tonight for Russell Martin. And Eric Milton will be making his second start in a Dodger uniform. So already pressure on the combination of Cook and Torrealba with Pierre at first base. He's got 9 stolen bases. He has been caught only 4 times. Hey, Huey, was that a vintage Juan Pierre hit?
Yeah, I mean, you draw the third baseman in and then just slap it by him.
Well, I think you got to do that if you're a third baseman and Pierre's up. You got to come in because he tried to bunt the ball last night, but it went right back to Josh Fogg, and he was able to make a play on it. But you play right into the hands. I think that's the big offensive side of the game that Pierre's improved so much on, is his back control of the baseball.
With the sinker ball pitcher, too. I mean, just kind of played right into his hand.
Hudson had a couple of hits yesterday, and the Rockies pitch out. Juan Pierre over at first base with Todd Helton, and he said watching the highlights of Helton getting his 2000th hit gave him chills. He has that much respect and admiration for his former teammate Helton.
I think likewise from Todd to him. He saw how hard Juan Pierre worked at the game of baseball.
That's outside 2-0. George, when you came into ball games and you had a real great base stealer, and Juan's stolen more bases than anybody that's active in the game right now, did you like to pitch out, or because obviously it's an automatic ball if he doesn't go, and now puts you a little bit behind?
It really didn't bother me that much because I felt like I was a strike thrower, so it didn't bother me as much. I think it's the guys that struggle with men on base that don't have the ability to come back and throw strikes after a pitch out that you create big innings with.
And Aaron is a strike thrower. Unfortunately, now he's behind 3-0 against Orlando Hudson.
Well, a lot of times when you have tremendous movement on a sinker the way Aaron does, a lot of times it sinks or gets out of the strike zone because of that movement.
And that's not close. You know what? That's ball 4, isn't it? Orlando's standing there at the plate, and he didn't even realize it.
Orlando, whoa, Orlando, there's a big scoreboard out there in left. And I know sometimes it's wrong.
Well, you got a 15-game hitting streak, right? You want to stay up there.
Yeah, you want to keep going, and I think the pitch out kind of threw him off. He was thinking it's only 2-0. He's ready to continue to hit.
Yeah, but the pitch out counts too. They got to make sure they got to let him know that.
Down here, Juan Pierre, Mariano Duncan, everybody was yelling at him over here, saying, "Hey, that's ball 4. Let's go."
59 degrees our game time temperature, and the Dodgers already have something going here in the top of the first. 2 on, nobody out. Andre Ethier at the plate. Ethier had yesterday off. That's one of those ball games when you score 16 runs and have 19 hits. You don't want that as an off day. You figure, hey man, I missed out on a couple of hits. Tonight is email the booth night. We do it every Tuesday night. Log on to FSNinsider.com. Click on FSN Rocky Mountain to reach us. It's brought to you every Tuesday by Office Liquidators and OfficeLiquidators.com.
Got it.
They got a chance out. A little daylight play. And Juan just got his hand in before Tulowitzki slapped the tag down.
Takes a lot of trust between the middle infielder, Jeff, and the pitcher that you're going to throw it right over the top of the bag, which is what you're supposed to do as a pitcher.
That was perfect timing.
Yeah, and that shortstop better be there.
Yeah, good timing. As soon as you get a little daylight as a shortstop on the other side of the base runner, that's when you go.
It's a comebacker. Nice play by Cook. Low throw, and everybody's safe. Rushed the throw a little bit, George.
Yeah, no question. I mean, he had a ball hit back to him. Snow coned it a little bit. I don't think he really realized he had the ball in the glove till he came back down to the ground with it. Watch his reaction here when he catches the ball. So he's looking, oh, I do have it. And then he threw that hard sinker at 90 miles an hour to Tulowitzki. Unfortunately, this is giving him a chest-high feed as he did on the pickoff move. Yeah, low throw, you create more problems for yourself. The walk, now the error on Aaron Cook.
Bases loaded, nobody out. Casey Blake, who is among the hottest hitters in baseball, is at the plate. And he hits a slow ground ball to second, tag, and they get the out at first. Well done by by Barmes. And I don't know how smart that was by Ethier. He should have just shut it down, shouldn't he have, Hugh?
Yeah, after about 3 steps, you know where the ball's going to go, so you just stop as a base runner. You don't continue to run into this, but what allowed Clint to do this is the way he charged the baseball. If he doesn't charge the ball that hard and sits back and tries to flip it then to Troy, he's not going to be able to turn the double play. And Ethier, just thank you very much, ran into the tag for the double play.
A run scores, but a chance really to minimize the damage, something we spoke often about yesterday, as the Dodgers got 7 in the 4th and then 8 in the 8th inning, or excuse me, in the 7th inning. James Loney at the plate. Dodgers up 1-0. Loney at 291. And a comebacker to Cook. Aaron will go underhand to Todd Helton. And Aaron did a very nice job of getting out of a mess. A single, a walk, an error. Just 1 run for the Dodgers, however. Against Aaron Cook in the top half of the first. Here's the lineup for Clint Hurdle tonight. Dexter Fowler will lead things off, then Troy Tulowitzki. Todd Helton had migraine symptoms yesterday, got 2 at-bats, and then had to shut it down. He's back in there feeling better. Ryan Spilborghs, Matt Merton, Garrett Atkins, Clint Farmas, Yorvi Torrealba, Aaron Cook. You say, where is Brad Hopp? Tom Helmer said at the top of the show, Brad strained a groin muscle in the ball game yesterday and was removed from that ball game. So he's in one of those quote-unquote day-to-day situations, but not in there tonight. And obviously, that is a big omission from the Rockies lineup. Eric Milton will climb the hill. 33-year-old left-hander who's had a fair amount of success in the big leagues. He's won 87 big league ball games. He's still battling back, George, from Tommy John surgery from a couple years ago.
Yeah, what a great time for him to see this, too. For a guy that has 10 years in the big leagues to battle back after a year and a half, to go down to the minor leagues, prove that he could still pitch, get his innings put in there, and then come back to the big leagues. Think about this. You don't get to say this very often. This pitcher-catcher tandem tonight, 25 years in the big leagues.
How about
15
that?
by Osmus, 10 by Mr. Milton. And you got to have, and what I appreciate out of this more than anything with Eric Milton is the fact that he's doing this because he loves the game of baseball. He's made plenty of money. He's fully vested on his pension with 10 years in the big leagues. I mean, there's not a lot left for him to go do except just play the game.
He made a very good play right there, because if that gets by him, obviously it's a hit. And I like the direction that he bunted, Jeff Houston, trying to push it past the left-hander who's falling the other way.
That's right. It just wasn't hard enough. It goes just a little bit harder. He's able to beat that out, because I got him at 3.53 down the line on that bunt.
That's
quick. Look at the Fidelity scouting report on Mr. Melton. You'll see the fastball 87-91. Curve kind of the third best secondary pitch that he has, a slider and a change. One pitch that he has added is this cut fastball on right-handers. He will run that in on their hands at times from 85 to 87 miles an hour.
Troy Tulowitzki at the plate. And this is fouled off. Quickly a 2-strike count. Milton has always been known as a fly ball pitcher, which kind of shocked me a couple years ago when he signed with the Reds. In that ballpark, to me, it wasn't a good fit.
Well, maybe not a good fit, but maybe a fit for him getting a chance to be in a rotation, not a long guy in a bullpen. There are some other reasons maybe why he went there, thinking, okay, I'll battle it. I've pitched at Coors. I've pitched at other ballparks. Texas, horrible ballpark for pitchers. That you go in and do that. Maybe I can go in there and make a difference with it. I mean, you know, again, I can't emphasize enough for me how impressed I am with the fact that he's done everything that he's done.
This is going to drop for Tulowitzki. So a sand wedge to left, and with one out, Troy is aboard for Todd Helton. Here are the defensive players for the Los Angeles Dodgers tonight. Juan Pierre, Matt Kemp, Andre Ethier in the outfield. Blake and Castro on the left side of the infield. Hudson and James Loney right side. Brad Ausmus, 3 gold gloves behind the plate. Todd owns a home run in his career against Milton. And he fouls this pitch back.
Really, everybody in the lineup today. I mean, the one guy that's really hurt him has been Merton with an extended history with him. 17 at bats, 7 hits, a home run. He's got 3 RBIs against him. Helton with a couple of hits, and Drew mentioned the 1 home run.
That's in there. It's 0-2 on Todd. Milton, just a footnote to what we were talking about, him being a fly ball pitcher. He led the National League in home runs allowed in 2004 with the Phils at 43. The next year with Cincinnati, he led the league again, allowing 40.
That's not good numbers unless they're all solos. That's the key. How many of them were solos?
Don't have that number.
Well, Dougie could get it, but he's not probably not going to bear down on it that hard. Dougie says it takes him a couple of minutes. You got 9 innings.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Todd, hitting .364 against lefties. You see Spielborg's getting ready. .305 in his career left on left. That is awfully good. Strike 3 on a slow hook. Todd glares back at Andy Fletcher, and you rarely see that kind of reaction from Helton, even on the occasion that he is out on strikes.
Well, let's watch how the ball's caught too. I mean, you can see, look how he just locked everything down. You don't see a lot of movement out of the glove of Ausmus. Maybe that's what got it, but here's a good look at it. This will tell you where the pitch was, about 3 to 4 inches off the plate.
Andy Fletcher working the plate. Scott Barry, Ted Barrett, Tim McClellan. So Spielborgs steps in with 2 outs. And he fouls this one back.
Well, so far, Milton's been pretty quick to the plate. He had that one, the very first pitch to Todd where he took a long time, but since then, he's just had that short little leg kick, and then he's going home.
Jeff, let me ask something. Does that really, I mean, I know the slide step and all that, but always for me with left-handed pitchers, if you got a good move to first,
yeah, I don't really care about the time to the plate. Well, they don't need to do it as much as a right-hander. You know, if they go up and if they have the opportunity to pause and kind of read it, that just threw you off as a base runner.
Yeah, that's why, to George's point, Huey, why would a left-hander slide step?
That's I'm trying to figure out why he would do that, because he doesn't need to.
Maybe just a different look to the hitter at the plate.
Yeah,
you know,
change
to get
his
there
timing.
quicker. Yeah. I played with the guy, the king of slide step at the end of his career, Jim Cott. Remember, he had that hurry-up delivery. You guys probably a little too young to remember, but he would, 78, he'd rock, and he'd just come at you. I mean, there wasn't really anything else about his delivery. And I asked Jimmy about that one time. He said, hey, it's just something, a little more deception to the hitter.
This is slowly hit to third. Casey Blake to James Loney. Rockies got a hit from Tulowitzki, nothing else. They trail 1-0 as we go to the second at Coors Field.
A rough inning for Aaron Cook, 1-0 after the base hit, a walk and an error. As we look at the Fidelity scouting report, and the fastball is going to range 86-93. The slider, you'll see it at times during the ball game, depending on his command of that good hard sinker, 77-82. You'll see this fastball both sides of the plate, slider on the back foot.
Matt Kemp takes ball one. Kemp hitting out of the 6 hole, 298 average. Seems like every guy in that Dodger lineup is on some sort of hitting streak, led of course by the 15-gamer that Orlando Hudson has. Ground ball to Tulowitzki, and he throws out Matt Kemp. Kemp had brought into the ball game a 6-game hitting streak. Here's the Rockies defensively. Matt Merton in left, Dexter Fowler in center, Ryan Spilborg for Brad Hoffman right, Garrett Atkins, Troy Tulowitzki, Clint Barnes, Helton, and Torrey Alba in the infield. Juan Castro steps up. Rafael Furcal out of the lineup again today. Now, he had been slumping, but word is he has an injury on his leg, and we'll tell you more about that in a moment. Yesterday's ball game was very, very strange, and here's why. We'll show you that graphic again in a second. The Rockies lost by 10 runs. The Dodgers walked 11 hitters yesterday. 11. None of them intentional. So we got to thinking, how many times has that happened where you receive 11 walks, yet you lose by 10+ runs? Well, since 1950, it's happened only 3 times. Tulowitzki, beautiful play.
That was.
And the 2 other times you saw in there, 1968 being the last time. Or excuse me, 61 being the last time, Senators and Angels. And then you have to go back to 1954. And the Dodgers had some firsts in a while yesterday. They scored 7 in the 4th, which was a season high, 8 in the 7th. The last time they had 2 innings of 7+ runs in the same game was 1950, when they scored 21 runs at Ebbets Field and beating the Pirates. And the last time they had 2 innings with 7+ hits in each inning, 1945. It's an odd day at the ballpark, and unfortunately the Dodgers had the last laugh. Anyhow, Furcal's got a leg injury, and it's nothing serious, but he's been held out the last couple of days. And Brad Ausmus to Clint Barnes. 3 weak ground balls. Aaron Cook's got the sinker going. Dodgers have the lead, however, 1-0. the bottom of the second inning. Matt Merton, Garrett Atkins, and Clint Barmas. Good inning for Aaron Cook. And during the commercial break, Clint Hurdle visiting with Andy Fletcher, and I think that had everything to do with the called strike on Todd Helton. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, probably. I mean, that's what he's talking about there. And if you're going to give it to him, that's fine. But let Cook work the outside corner, too. If you're going to get a couple inches off of it, then Aaron Cook needs that with his sinker as much as Milton needs it with his breaking ball.
Well, very rarely will you have an umpire allow you to go out there and talk about balls and strikes, though.
Trying to be friendly.
Oh, he did it in a very nice way.
Yes.
I just saw something I never seen, and not that I watched that carefully with what the home plate umpire does between innings, but did you guys see
he
put a mouthpiece in?
Well, it makes sense. I mean, it makes sense because you look at this. How many times we see guys get hit off the mask umpires? Mike Matheny, his career was cut short on it, but it's wise because your teeth clench and you see the base hit from Merton, but it keeps the concussions away.
Absolutely. Merton's now 8 for 18 against Eric Milton. That'll bring up Garrett Atkins. Let's check the Burt Auto keys to the game.
Well, obviously, Cook's the #1 key for me, that he goes out and tries to pitch just like he has in his last 5 starts. The second time through the lineup with this Dodger lineup and the Rockies lineup going against Eric Milton. What you'll see from him, and then the bullpen to pick up Cookie if he's got to get out of the ball game and after 7, depending on the pitch count or how deep he can work. Difficult to go back-to-back complete ball games on a pitcher.
That pitch misses on Atkins. Garrett was 1 for 5 yesterday. He had an RBI single. Slowly showing signs of emerging from a very difficult period offensively. A double to the opposite field in Detroit. 1 ball, 1 strike. Let's check our first email of the night. It is Tuesday night. Chris asks, as Jeff Houston has said, the Rockies offense has a feast or famine attitude. What do they have to do to be more consistent offensively? I don't know if it's an attitude. I don't. Paraphrasing what Jeff said, this ball is hit down the right field line. It's going to get in the seats foul. But Jeff, what you said is that it's been feast or famine. It's not an attitude. They like to feast every day.
Yeah, definitely they like to feast every day. It's not an attitude. Unfortunately, it's either score 11 runs or score 1 run. And I think what you're looking at is trying to be more consistent throughout the lineup. And we've seen Todd Helton, Brad Hopp, those guys drive in a lot of runs, and then other guys will have 1 good game and then they'll take 3 or 4 games off, it seems like. So that's all it is try to get more consistent so you don't have that attitude or that the feast or famine days.
And a line shot to left, back-to-back line singles for Merton and Atkins. And the Rockies have something going with Clint Barmas coming up, George. Nobody out in the second.
Well, let's look where this pitch is to Garrett Atkins, too, and how he responded to it. They're asking for the ball inside, and they want it up a little bit. But you can see this ball, if I draw a line right across it, it's in the upper half of the strike zone. And when it's in the upper half of the strike zone, it doesn't allow them to get away with a lot, particularly if there's no movement. That was a 4-seam fastball on the inner half.
So that brings Barmas to the plate. And that pitch is down low, ball 1. Barmas had an RBI double yesterday. A reminder, if the Rockies score 7 or more runs during tonight's ball game, you know the drill. Go to Taco Bell tomorrow between 4 and 6 in the afternoon and get 4 tacos for $1 with the purchase of a drink.
Well, the other thing, we talked about home runs being allowed. Barmas obviously not a big-time home run hitter, but he does have a few this year. And with that in mind, we talked about Eric Milton and the fly ball pitcher. 25 solos with Philly in 04. And 18 of those, or 25 home runs, 18 men on base out of the 43. So he gave up a lot of solo home runs. Same thing in 05 with Cincinnati, where he gave up 40 home runs, 23 solos over that time frame. You look on the Hyundai cam, here's a big hook that just kind of dropped right at the last second under the bat. It's the movement of the pitch, Huey. It's also when you back off velocity that much, tough to hold back.
Well, it is, and that's where he just backed off the velocity. That's why Clint was where he was.
You know, I like what Matt Merton did right there.
Oh, yeah.
Because of this big ballpark and how it expands, the Rockies hitters, obviously, they know where to take advantage of arms and try to. Now, the reason I say this, because when this ball's hit deep like this, is Merton going to tag up? No. But what he does, watch him come off of the bag when this ball's caught. Heads down, and it looks like, man, I'm going to third. You force a strong throw. It was let go by Castro. What if it gets by the third baseman, which happens a lot? What if it's misplayed, gets by, a pitcher doesn't back up? You still can advance, even though you didn't make the move to third.
Well, the other thing, too, is Garrett Atkins, when he saw Matt do that, he immediately came back to first and tagged up as well.
Yorvit Torrealba with 1 out, 2 on.
This may be the only ballpark in baseball that you'll see a pitcher at first base at times and a ball hitting the gap, he'll go to third. Just because the gaps are so big, it's so spacious here that it allows you to do that. And I'm picking on pitchers a little bit, but the non-athletes typically don't run real well.
I'm glad you said that, George.
Well, I got it out before you did.
Okay, thank you.
Before you did.
Yeah.
Right.
Beat him to it tonight.
Yes, he did.
That's why I love playing for Billy Martin, folks. You got to go home at noon every day to get all the non-athletes off the field while we went to work. Okay, Billy, thanks.
Here's the 0-1 on Torrealba. Line drive, gloved by Loney, and
ooh, that was risky, huh, Huey?
yeah, Merton got back.
I mean, for a first baseman to throw, I mean, obviously he has a very accurate arm. He wouldn't even unloaded on that, but you're trying to hit a moving target. Watch Castro come in behind on this, folks, as he makes the move here and didn't hesitate, but he's moving to the bag. I mean, if that ball sails, sinks, the runner makes a little bit of a spin farther.
Well, that was the one area last year, and Joe Torre brought this up in his meeting right before the ball game, is the way James Loney was able to not make the throw to second base last year. He said he's much improved this year, so that's where he has the confidence to go ahead and make that play.
Well, they got a pretty good infield instructor in Larry Boa, too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Aaron Cook has been known to help his own cause. It'll work well here.
Yeah, I think that's why he received a slow hook with the first pitch, too, not a fastball.
Aaron's driven in a couple runs already this year. Had a real good year at the plate last season. Merton at second, Atkins at first, 2 gone. Off his foot.
Jeff, you got to tell the fans at home what this really feels like. I mean, I used to say it's like hitting your fingernail with a hammer.
That works good. I also like a ball peen hammer on it, on the big toe. That feels pretty nice too. Maybe waking up in the middle of the night, having to use the restroom, and you stub your toe on the furniture. I mean, that kind of gives you an idea of what it feels like.
That's not fun.
No.
Of course, it never happened to me, but I imagine it's
right. If
fun,
it did, it wouldn't be fun.
That's not a strike. 1-2. One nothing LA as the Rockies hit in the bottom of the second inning. And 2-2.
Showing him a lot of off-speed pitches, George. Just as you mentioned, he's not going to lay that fastball in there. Doesn't look like.
No, not at 88 straight. He's not going to give that one in. He'll just snap some sliders off. See if he can do anything with those.
The Dodgers figure to have to utilize, as they did yesterday, their bullpen for a decent amount in this game, because Milton in his last outing went just 4 innings.
Well, 84 pitches. I think, coming out of this deal, regardless, he only walked 4. He gave up only 2 hits, 2 runs, but he walked 4. Pitch count got high to 84. He got him out of the ball game, went down to the bullpen.
Yeah, to the point, though, you're not going to see him out there for 105 pitches.
Well, that's right. I mean, he's not going to get into 6 digits. I mean, that's something that's not going to happen with him, and try to protect it. He's like a 5th starter now. Give me 5 good innings, and let's let the bullpen try to win it.
2-2. And Cook battling away. There is a comfort zone, even though, you know, Aaron's a pitcher and that's not what he focuses on. He's a very good athlete, and Milton's not going to throw the ball by you.
No, he's 88 to 87, 91. He's hit 91 a couple of times. The last fastball was 80. He relies on command of his 4 pitches.
And the breaking pitch.
And he got him out front. And he strikes out Cook. So the Rockies get singles from Merton and Atkins leading off the inning, but cannot advance them. Third, let's go down to Mark Stout with our Mike Shaw Auto Update. Mark.
Thank you very much, Drew. Last week in Atlanta, Aaron Cook threw the 9th complete game of his career. And I checked the numbers after his previous 8 complete games, and they don't bode well, although he looks pretty good tonight. In his previous 8 complete games, his start afterwards, 1-3 with 4 no decisions and an ERA of 6.30. The only win came in 2007 when he went the distance here at home on July the 25th against the Padres, and then had 6 days rest and pitched into the 8th inning in a win on the road in Florida against the Marlins. But he's got the ground ball sinker going tonight, so far so good. Drew, George?
Well, we should just call you Mr. Sunshine. And you got any other good news for us?
I wanted to be optimistic. I looked, I said, I wonder how he did after the other complete games. But he looks like he's got the sinker ball going tonight.
Oh, now you're going to
yeah, I know.
I see. That's all right. Go ahead. Good research.
Backstroking.
Wow.
Better have your nose plug on.
Did he have any mishaps at home after the complete game? Did he stub his toe, you know, late at night? Anything like that?
Right. Don't know about that. Can't elaborate.
All right. Thanks, Mark. It's been nice visiting with you. Here's the 0-2 on Milton and another comebacker. You know, last ball game when he had 20 ground ball outs, Clint Barmas needed a new glove at the end of the day. The guy who's going to need the new glove at the end of the evening is going to be the pitcher, Aaron Cook. Keeps calling his own number, Frase.
It's kind of nice, isn't it? Yeah, everybody hitting it right. Well, that's what you try to do, isn't it, Huey, with a sinker baller, is go back up the middle. You're not trying to, they want you to pull the baseball.
Well, and the other thing, too, that's kind of like Don Mattingly's philosophy now, is to make sure you stay through the baseball, stay level on plane, and if you hit it the other way, you do. And so the lefties are looking to hit the ball to the left center field gap, righties the opposite, right center field gap.
Here's Juan Pierre. That fastball's up high, ball 1.
But, George, how many sinker ball pitchers did you see that were not good fielders?
Not very many.
Yeah,
you know, probably
had to be.
Yeah, my 2 favorite were Rick Ruschel with the Cubs and Randy Jones with the Padres. And, of course, Greg Maddux was the best of best. I mean, what do you have, 17, 18 gold gloves?
Yep. But you have to be. If you're going to be a sinker ball pitcher, you're going to see a lot of balls right back up through the box.
You either got to have a good glove or be skinny, one or the other.
Or wear catcher's gear out there.
Or put the L screen up.
That's always a good one.
2 balls and a strike. We have an email we have to check out. This is a new fan, Pam. I'm just learning about baseball and love watching the Rockies. What is an RBI? This is not an RBI here. This is a ground out to Troy Tulowitzki. An RBI is a run batted in. And George, that means, Pam, that let's say there's a run around second and a guy gets a base hit and that run comes around. The guy who got the single gets a run batted in. It's a very important offensive statistical category. I'm old school. I think you're old school. I think Jeff Houston's old school. A while back, some members of the media, instead of calling them RBIs because it was a redundancy, said, you know, so-and-so had 5 RBI tonight. I can't do that. I still say RBIs, and you do too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're RBIs.
They're RBIs. They're ribbies.
Yeah.
They're steaks, however you want to pronounce it. That's what they are. I mean, just...
you don't say you haven't changed and gone new school and say,
no.
Oh yeah, he had 4 RBI last night.
No, he had 4 RBIs.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
we're all on the same page again. Frightening for you guys.
8 ground ball outs now for Aaron Cook. One of those, obviously, with the double play ball.
Nothing in the air. Juan Pierre's base hit was an 18 hopper that went down the third base line. 2 balls and a strike on Orlando Hudson. He walked on 4 pitches in the first inning.
Well, I like what happened right after that last one by Juan Pierre. After Troy threw it, he looked at Cookie and pointed his finger and said, way to go, keep it going.
There's something in the air, and guess who's got a 16-game hitting streak now? The only man in the Los Angeles Dodgers dugout to play every single game. He started every single game this year. The O-Dog, Orlando Hudson.
See, that's the one key. What you just said is starting every single game and then playing in every game. There's a huge difference. A huge difference.
Well, National League hitting streaks on our Firestone leaderboard. Orlando Hudson now in 16 straight. Andy LaRoche is hitting 10 in a row with the Pirates. We saw him a little more than a week ago. Nick Johnson with the Nationals. Good hitter. He's finally healthy again.
Good block.
They got a couple of good corners there in the infield. Nick Johnson and Ryan Zimmerman for the Nats. Got some other holes.
Just a couple. But Zimmerman had the long hitting streak too.
He had the 30
games.
Yeah.
A few other holes besides those 2 guys, though.
Andre Ethier hit a comebacker his first time up, and Aaron Cook fired low trying to turn 2 to Troy Tulowitzki. Everybody was safe, so it was an error on Cook. And because the Rockies didn't get an out there, when Casey Blake grounded into a double play, a run came around. That was the unearned run in the first inning. 1-0 LA, 2 outs. Orlando Hudson at first. We said this yesterday. I mean, Orlando's a good athlete. He's not a tremendous speed guy. I mean, he runs pretty well, but he's not a guy. He's certainly not Juan Pierre.
Yeah, he's like a 10 for 15 stolen base type guy. Maybe 20.
But he runs well underway, as the scouts like to say. Once the ball's hit, he can get after it.
That's the one guy in the lineup tonight. Jeff scares me more than anybody else. And the reason I say that is he's struggling right now. I mean, he's 2 for his last 17, make it 2 for his last 18 since the start of this ball game, because he's a better hitter than that. And you just hope that if he does get hot, let it happen in Chicago, their next stop.
It's 3-1. Just did a quick look at the Dodgers and Orlando Hudson. Orlando's 4 for 4 this year in stolen bases. His career high is 10. And he's done that only 1 time. He's usually a single-digit guy. Orlando was a shortstop when he signed, and he was quickly moved to second base. He was told, your fastest route to the big leagues will be second. He said, that sounds good to me.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Ethier fouls it off.
A lot of times skills will also dictate where you're going to play. You know, if you might have played shortstop because you're the best athlete on the ball club in high school, and then all of a sudden you get into pro baseball and your arm strength is not what it needs to be. And so they move you over to second base because it allows your back, keeps you in the lineup, obviously, and then your ability to catch the baseball, turn the double play. He's a pretty good second baseman. He's got a few gold gloves on the man.
He'll be moving with the pitch. 3-2 on Andre Ethier. Strike 3 on the inside corner. Aaron Cook locks up Ethier. First strikeout of the ball game for Cook. Ethier talking to himself. 1-0 LA. Middle of 3. I wouldn't have hit it to the double plays if he hadn't hit singles. Joe Torre, after tying a major league record by hitting it to 4 double plays each time after Felix Millan had singled. That was back in 1975. That's a great line. It's Millan's fault. Throw out a double once in a while, Felix. Remember Felix Millan? He choked halfway up the bat. He held the thing at the label.
Yeah, no, his bat was like 29-29, like 28-28. A little league bat up there.
Which end was the barrel?
Yeah, no kid.
Dexter's behind 0-2 quickly. He tried to bunt his way on, pushed a bunt, just couldn't get it past Eric Milton.
That's all about making adjustments as a young player. And then when you come to the big leagues, guys start to figure you out. You've got to figure them out. Obviously, Dexter's done that in the last 10 ball games. After struggling a little bit. He's walked 7 times. The extra base hits are there with 6.
And he reaches for one and pops it up. So he's got to talk to Helton, Huey, about how you just foul that pitch off and live for another dart.
You know what? He'll learn that in a few more years. He'll figure out how to do that. Very few guys have that ability just to flick a ball off, though.
I was just getting ready to say, Huey, all the guys that have that ability are they got this big shrine of them up in Cooperstown.
Or they just get 2,000 hits.
Exactly.
It is remarkable how he does that. He's on deck. Here's Troy Tulowitzki at a soft single to left his first time. He takes down low ball 1. Rockies trying to improve a disappointing home record. They're just 7-11 so far at Coors Field. That's fouled off. 1-1.
I've watched the pattern of Milton now, Huey, and again, this is a guy that really mixes pitches up because he has to. But he doesn't double up much. He doesn't repeat much. I mean, it was a soft pitch to start off with. Came back with a fastball, 89. Let's see where he goes here.
No, that's a veteran guy, though. Learning how to pitch at the big league level. Never going to the same spot with the same speed and the same location. All that. You know, if you're going to go soft, go curveball then changeup. Don't go curveball.
That's a strike. 2-2.
It's one of the few sliders that he's thrown. That was at 80 miles an hour, and it was down. It was a good pitch.
That's almost like a cutter, but not quite that hard.
Well, that's the one pitch I talked about when we did the scouting report. That I've heard he's added to it. He's added that cutter. There it is again to keep the big right-handed bats from extending and getting that barrel out in a hurry and doing damage with it.
2 outs. Helton coming up. Another email. Jeff, this is for you. Another member of your fan club. Javier wants to know, do you like watching the game from the dugout or from the booth?
You know what? I enjoy it down here. I mean, I obviously like it up in the booth with you, but down here I feel like I'm just part of the action. I'm just a stone's throw away from the dirt here. You can smell the grass. You smell the pine tar. It's very nice to be here. You just feel like, just short of being on the field, this is the next best place.
Well, just so we have it on the record, we prefer you down there also.
Well,
Wait.
George.
You got a mouse in your pocket? You said we.
I know
It's
George
that player
wants me up
fraternity
there.
thing.
Yeah. Thank you, George.
Hey, you're welcome.
I appreciate that. Yeah, like the other day when it was cold and rainy, Drew's like, go ahead and stay down by the dugout.
Yeah, well, he even gave you a coat on the way out the door.
And a swift kick.
Yeah, and locked it.
1 ball and 2
Well, I always
strikes.
tell the middle infielders, you didn't ever have a chance to play behind me. You came in as I was going out. But it's like Larry Bowa. I said, I always kiss you guys, man. I give you high fives on air, tell you how great you were, whether you're good or bad or whatever. Because you guys picked an awful lot of baseballs.
That's it. That's what's. I think there is that special bond though between a pitcher and a middle infielder, because you're in the action, you're seeing the signs, you'll go up and talk to them, you work on double plays together. So there is that connection between middle infielders and pitchers.
I'm going to watch Osma, see which way he goes here. Right, he went away. Soft breaking ball before, slider this time. There's about a 6 to 7 miles an hour variance off of his curveball. He'll run it up to 73. The slider's 79.82. So you've got that 5-6 miles an hour difference. Well, there's that big old hook again.
And that's been his go-to pitch tonight.
Boy, it has forever. All strikeouts have come on.
Yep, 3 strikeouts in the ball game. A 1-2-3 third inning for Milton. 1-0 Los Angeles.
Here in the 4th inning. Time for the Aflac trivia question for the day. And it also has to do with Joe Torre, who was a player manager for the Mets in 1977. He lasted all of 18 days in that role, and then he retired and became the manager of New York. The question is, can you tell us the last player manager in the big leagues, who it was and when it happened? Give that some thought. We'll get you the Aflac trivia question answer coming up. Drew, George?
Hey, Mr. Sunshine.
Yeah. Thank you. That's going to stick for the whole year, isn't
Exactly.
it?
Yeah,
Well, at least for this series. Casey Blake drives one left center field and deep, and this ball is going to short hop the wall. Blake into second with a double, and he stays red hot. My question, Mark, for you, can you tell us, we'll see if you were paying attention on the road trip, can you tell us the last owner manager in baseball?
The last owner manager.
Huey knows the answer to this.
Oh, I do too. That's not too hard. Guy's got a lot of cash.
Well,
Did whatever he wanted.
Oh, I do know that answer. It's kind of a it's sort of a footnote, right? Ted Turner, right?
That Ted Turner.
Yeah, they let him manage a game.
Well, I mean, he let himself manage a game.
Yeah,
and then baseball said you're not doing it anymore.
Yeah. he was a manager for a game, and they lost.
You guys must have talked about that last week in Atlanta.
We did.
Could you see Ted look to his bench coach and goes, "Where's the bullpen? Where are those guys at? Do I go down there and tell them how they do this?"
They got to have footage of it. He had to be in uniform.
That
too.
would have been the classic. I would have liked to see him in uniform.
I vaguely remember that shot. 1-0 on James Loney. Blake at second base. Last 17 days, he's hit close to 500.
We talked about it in yesterday's broadcast, how when we saw the Dodgers early on, he was hitting 8th. And then he slides up to the 4-hole, and somebody asked Joe Torre today, well, what do you think about that? Did you have to go tell him to hit it? He said no. He goes, with Casey Blake, heck, he's just happy to be at the big league level. He's played here a long time. He understands what he has to do. He's not going to change his approach. I didn't have to go tell him. He just looks to see where he's hitting, and then he's happy he's in the lineup.
2 balls and a strike. Loney's one of those hybrid type players. He's a gap hitter, but he also could hit in the 2-hole, Huey, because he has great bat control. He doesn't punch out.
You know who he reminds me of? A lot of Mark Grace.
Yeah.
Very similar type players. Don't strike out a lot. Can hit him second, third, fourth. They're not going to hit a whole lot of home runs. They'll run into a few.
And he does the job here. He moves Blake to third base with 1 out. And his normal swing path, his normal approach is to hit the ball the other way. So that time, you know, he made an adjustment, didn't he, Jeff?
Yeah, he got out in front of it a little bit. He just started his swing just a little sooner. Even though it's going to be a sinker away, you can go ahead and start that swing, so make sure you catch the ball out in front. Now the Rockies have to play the infield at least in a little bit. It's not in all the way on the grass, but yeah, you got to move it in. But he did his job. Now it's up to Matt Kemp to see what happens. But Aaron Cook still has to throw the sinker.
Well, you said move the infield in, and I want to ask you this question because it's always interesting to me in a ballpark that yields a lot of runs, which it does here at Coors Field typically. When do you decide? I mean, do you think, okay, Cook's not going to give up a lot, but you got Eric Milton on the mound? I mean, would you pull them? I mean, they're almost at 3/4 right now. They're really not all the way in on the grass area on the left side. The right side, Barmas a little tighter. But, I mean, what part of the game do you go, okay, hey, it's second time through. I need to, you know, watch what we do here.
Well, it's the 4th inning to me. And the other thing is Casey Blake does not have a whole lot of speed. So I don't want to play completely back. I want to make sure that if he hits it to me, I have a chance to maybe throw him out at the plate. And I also look at what Kemp did the first time. He wasn't real comfortable in his at-bat against Aaron Cook. So I play all those factors in to decide where I would play the infield if I'm going to bring him in or just play all the way back and concede the run and go down possibly 2-0.
Is it an advantage for the Rockies, though, because Barmas really has a shortstop's arm?
Yes.
So you can play a little bit deeper than what you normally would and give yourself a little more range?
You're exactly right, George.
1-1. This is right at Tulowitzki. He gives a glance to third, fires to first, and now they can drop back. So Kemp obliges by hitting it right at Troy Tulowitzki. And that'll bring up Juan Castro with Blake at third. With 2 outs, let's check in again with Mark Stout. Mark.
All right, the Aflac trivia question was about Joe Torre being a player manager with the Mets in 1977. He lasted 18 days in that role. I talked to him about it today. The answer, who was the last player manager? 1985, Pete Rose, after he was traded by the Expos to the Reds. As this is a fly to right, Spielberg's to put it in. And he immediately took over for Vern Rapp, somebody that I think George may know from his days in St. Louis, at least the beginning of his career. So there's your answer, guys.
Absolutely. Vern Rapp, but people here in Denver know Vern too, and the Denver Bears. The Rockies trailing 1-0.
Colorado Rockies baseball on FSN is brought to you by your Colorado Hyundai dealers, and this May's only Hyundai Can Say sales event. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. By Dex, take the sport out of finding local information with Dex and printing online at dexknows.com. And by Burt Toyota, where the Tacoma is only $24,000. There's a strike on Ryan Spilborghs. Spilly grounded to third his first time up. Rockies have 3 singles in the game. Their only scoring opportunity of note was second inning, when they had a leadoff hit from Merton, backed up by a single by Garrett Atkins. 2 on, nobody out, but then Barmes skied to center. Torrealba lined to first, and Aaron Cook, after a lengthy at bat, struck out on a breaking ball.
One thing I think is important in this ball game, and Huey, you know this too, that whenever you're facing a guy the second time through, a lot of times, now veteran guys are tougher because they don't stay in the same patterns, but he's shown that he's gone to the slow hook for the outs.
And that's where you're going to have to sit on some of those slow hooks, George. Get him off his game plan. But it does help to have a guy like Ausmus that's been in the league forever behind the plate.
Well, he only got 25 years of big league experience on the hill and behind the plate today.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a bunch, obviously. You know, one thing and I talk to young catchers about this a lot in the Rockies minor league system. Plus, I talk to them about it in high school kids. Watch what hitters do when they come to the plate the second time up. Are they as deep in the box? Have they moved up into the box? Have they crowded home plate? Are they away from the plate? Because it will tell you how to pitch to guys. You know, catchers can watch the feet of a hitter and see what they do. Did they move up on the bat against a hard throw? Have they opened up a little bit more because we've pounded inside?
2 balls, 2 strikes. Check another email. This from Carl, and it concerns Seth Smith. Is there a reason that the Rockies haven't gotten Smith in the lineup more often? This is fouled off. Well, in this particular series, you're facing 3 left-handers. And the Rockies have 5 outfielders that do warrant playing time. Merton's come up, and he has swung the bat fairly well. Spilborghs is going to play. Dexter Fowler, you know, is going to play, and he's warranted playing time. Huey, it's one of those difficult problems. You'd like to see Smith out there more because he can hit.
Well, yeah, you would, but you also look at the different matchups and how many left-handers the Rockies have faced lately. With 2 out of 3 that we saw in Pittsburgh. And then you come into Detroit, you get a lefty there, and then you get 3 lefties in this series. So that's the reason why he's not playing as much now. Is not that they don't want to get him out there. It's just they're more right-handed at bats that need to get going.
Well, the other side of that too, Jeff. Maybe one of those deals he should have done a little better job of getting a hold of baseball. I think the other thing, the value Smith has late in games, he's the leading pinch hitter and the leading RBI pinch hitter for the Rockies. So I think that's another look at it. And Drew mentioned all the left-handed starters. He's only had 6 at bats against left-handers, and the only hit he's gotten is a home run.
That was in the first series against Arizona.
Right, and he's hit 270 against right-handers. So, you know, part of that is the reason for the way the lineup gets set up sometimes, and his value as a left-handed bat late in the game. He's done a great job.
They're scoring that base hit for Ryan Spilborghs. Now Matt Merton's up, who's 8 for 18 after his base hit in this game. 8 for 18 against Eric Milton.
Let's take one look at the replay on this swinging bunt. Kind of checked out front there. If Milton collects this ball cleanly here, he's out by 25 feet maybe.
Well, he tried to do 2 things
it's not that
first.
difficult of a hard play. He just closed his glove a little bit early instead of getting out of it. He's respecting the speed of Spilborghs, but still had plenty of time to make a play.
Hit and run was on.
I like that.
Yeah.
Create some holes in the middle. Hey, Coors Field, a great place for group outings. So groups of 25 or more receive discounted pricing, scoreboard recognition, and other great benefits. Pick up the phone, dial the Rockies. You got a big group to bring to the yard. 303 Rockies for more information.
And Huey, it looked like Matt Merton really did a good job of trying to drive that ball the other way and stay on top of it.
You're right, Drew. He did. He tried to stay over the top of it. His head was down. He was doing everything, because the other thing, Orlando Hudson was covering the bag.
1-1, and this is foul back just underneath our location. I'll throw another left-handed bat in there that is not at the major league level, but is tearing things up in the Pacific Coast League. Carlos Gonzalez, who is really the centerpiece, with all due respect to Houston Street and Greg Smith, in the Matt Holliday trade this past offseason. Former #1
prospect with Arizona.
Thank you, Georgia, Arizona, and also of Oakland. Gonzalez hitting .344, 8th in the Pacific Coast League, 6 home runs, 45 RBIs. The RBIs 3rd in the Coast League.
Well, they had a beautiful article today about everything you're talking about with about Gonzalez. Patrick Saunders did in the Denver Post this morning, talking about him, and they want to see a little bit more consistency out of him. But right now, he's doing a nice job. Clint Hurdle, Jim Tracy. Tough enough task right now to try to score some runs and win ball games.
Martin hits it in the air to center field.
You know what, John? I remember last night when Kemp had a little trouble on that fly ball. I don't wonder if he's not picking the ball up, because when he took the swing on that, it's like he locked up just for the second to try to judge the distance of the ball.
Yeah, and maybe yesterday he did, but today you look up at the clouds in the sky. It's not a tough sky to try to pick up the baseball. I just think what's happening is he's so used to playing in LA, where the ball just doesn't go anywhere, and then you come here where the ball travels a little bit further. I think he just forgot momentarily where he's at and how much further the ball goes.
One out. Spilborg's at first. Garrett Atkins at the plate. Garrett lined a single on a 1-2 pitch to left field. He's got a modest 4-game hitting streak going.
I thought it was interesting. You're just talking about the travel of the baseball here. I thought it was interesting because in early work, I've seen the Dodgers in the past hit fungos to the outfield, but they don't hit them from second base, where you see a lot of it, or in the middle of the infield. They were all the way back at home plate hitting fungos and hitting the fly to the baseball out to the outfielders, which obviously is going to give them a little truer read from the plate versus behind the pitcher's mound.
Yeah, you'll see that. We saw that in Detroit the other day. Andy Van Slyke was doing that to the outfielders, but he was hitting it from second base. But you're right, the truest read you get is by the cage when there's batting practice going on. If you can get guys to hit fungos during that time, to hit fly balls to the outfielders, that'll give you a more true read.
Well, I think it's important too. Visiting teams come to Coors Field. This is my deal. I think that you really ought to power shags, what I like to call it, for about 10 minutes during batting practice when your own guys are swinging.
Yep.
James Loney makes that catch, and that'll bring up Clint Barmas. Spilborg still at first base. Eric Milton has kept the Rockies off balance, changing speeds. Eric Milton's a guy back in 1999, Huey, a game you're familiar with, threw a no-hitter when he was pitching for the Minnesota Twins. He faced 1 over the minimum against an Angel Ball club.
Yeah, that I was a part of. I wasn't in the lineup that day. Struck out 13. It was, we talked about in the pregame show, just an early ball game that day. Started at 11 o'clock, which is very unusual. There was a Minnesota Golden Gophers football game that afternoon, or that evening at 6 o'clock. And so what happened was they said, okay, you start the game at 11. If it's not over by 2, well, that's it. Suspended game, because we got to start getting ready for football. So we were like, what? So Joe Madden, who was managing at that time, he put a lineup up there that I thought would be competitive, and he caught a little flack for it because there were some regulars that were not in the lineup that day. I mean, guys like Tim Salmon, Garrett Atkins, or excuse me, Garrett Anderson, Darren Erstad, guys like Mo Vaughn,
Basically all your good players?
Yeah, well, it was September, too.
Okay.
So there's a few guys that were in that lineup that day. But to take nothing away from Eric Milton, you still have to go out there and pitch and throw a no-hitter. But
Well, it doesn't count in my book because you weren't in there.
Thank you.
Spilly gets picked off, and Loney's throw to short is in time. So Clint Barmes will lead off in the 5th inning. Spilborgh's cut down. It is a caught stealing. The Dodgers have the only run tonight. Ausmus, Eric Milton, and Juan Pierre to face Aaron Cook. And again, we visit with Mark Stout. Mark?
All right, Drew, I'm out here with some of the little leaguers that are in attendance tonight. Dex, this date in history, we're going to involve Huey again. It was on this day in 1993 that Jose Canseco had that ball go off of his head over the fence in Cleveland. Carlos Martinez hit it. It went for a home run. Huey, I know you were there. Tell everybody that you were there for that game.
Well, I was. Once again, I wasn't playing. There's a shocker. Right. But no, it was one of those things that it goes off of Jose's head. And then he comes into the dugout and he's talking about it. And he says, hey, that ball went off my glove. And everybody's like, wait a second. That ball didn't go off your glove. It went off your head.
You know what else went off his head this weekend? About 30 fists.
Yes, indeed. He didn't do too well in that fight, did he?
No, he's now trying his hand at MMA. He fought a guy who was about 8 feet tall, George. You catch that?
No, you know what? I just didn't want to buy that on pay-per-view. I'm sorry I missed it.
I didn't buy it either, nor would I buy it.
Nope.
I saw the highlights on ESPN, and he didn't fare too well.
77 seconds, he took a nap.
Yeah. 2 balls and a strike on Brad Ausmus. Brad hit a ground ball to second his first time, and he has a line drive base hit to Spilborgh's in right. Well, in every ball game that Ausmus has started for Russell Martin this year, he's got himself at least one knock.
Well, he's hit 346, 3 RBIs. I mean, all the guys that fill in, Castro, what's he, 388? Ausmus, the guys that aren't everyday players, they all got pretty good averages.
Ausmus has an 8-game hitting streak, George.
So that's over 8 weekends?
Yeah,
every
exactly.
Sunday.
He's in the
night game, day game?
He's in the men's senior baseball league. He plays every Sunday.
Paycheck's a little better.
Paycheck's a lot better.
No, a whole lot.
Played in that MSBL. Eric Milton will try to move him along, 0-1. Consistent of the Dodgers, been 15-8 in April. They're 16-7 in May. That's missed. The 16 wins matched only by the Texas Rangers in the big leagues for most W's in May. This is the 18th game they've played without Manny Ramirez. They're 10-7. Barmes covers the bag. 2-4 on the sacrifice. And Brad Ausmus in scoring position for Juan Pierre. Time for tonight's quest, high-speed pitch. Well, let's see how hard Aaron Cook has delivered the baseball tonight. His hardest fastball at 93. Eric Milton has touched 91.
Well, most of the night Milton is set between 88 and 90.
All of that brought to you by Quest High-Speed Internet. Pierre is 1 for 2. Slapped a single past Garrett Atkins, who's in on the grass in the first inning, then grounded to short in the third. Had a nice chat with Juan before the ball game. He was on our pregame show. Does not want to talk at all, on the record, off the record, about what he's doing at the plate. I mean, Juan just wants to go about his business and help the club win. And of course, he had to do a whole lot of watching when his spot was taken by Manny Ramirez. And he's not sour about it. He understands. He's not suggesting he should play in front of Ramirez. But he doesn't want a ton being made of what he's done in helping the ball club continue to play well. And Jeff Houston, that's really what Juan Pierre is all about. But make no mistake, you and I chatted with your old friend Larry Boa a couple hours before the ball game, and he said you cannot overstate how important Juan Pierre has been to the Dodgers' success in the absence of Ramirez.
Well, he's just a pro's pro. I mean, he never complained about not playing. He understood, and now he's getting a chance, and he's going to be prepared. And the quote that Larry Boa made to me yesterday about Juan Pierre is, he said he's a poor man's Pete Rose. This poor man's Pete Rose. He goes, well, he can't hit as good as Pete Rose. That's obvious, but the way they both work, that tells you a lot about Juan Pierre.
Well, another chance for Aaron Cook. And now there are 2 outs as Pierre is retired and the dangerous Orlando Hudson at the plate. This, George, I know this may sound silly, but the way this game's unfolding, this at-bat's one of the bigger at-bats in this ball game right now.
Yeah, no question. And really, the point Drew's getting to is, obviously you give up another run, you're at 2. And the way Milton's going at it, and obviously they've got a little better bullpen right now. They're throwing the ball decent. They got the left-hander, the right-hander, and that big old donkey at the end of the bullpen, Broxton, that has done a great job closing. So it's not easy. I mean, this is one of those deals where you really got to make pitches, and the defense got to come up with a play.
I think about walking him, or if something happens, you throw a ball or two, then put him on. I know Ethier's hitting third, but he's not swinging the bat like Orlando is now.
That
was a take a look, wasn't it? There's no way he's bunting.
You know what? I don't know, because I looked down at Atkins, and Atkins is playing about 15 feet behind the bag. Now, I know that Ethier's hitting where he is, and he has struggled. 2 for 18, 2 for 19 now, most recently. But he's had a lot of success against the Rockies this year and driven in an awful lot of runs with a couple of home runs.
And here's something else. I know, as George says, he's not going well right now. He can hit, as you guys both know. And against Aaron Cook in his career, he had a .474 average coming in with a couple of home runs, and very few guys hit home runs against Cook.
Exactly, and I think that's the scary side of it. And I said that earlier when he came up. He's the one guy in our lineup that kind of scares me that he's in there tonight, because his history tells you he is going to hit.
2-0 on Orlando Hudson with Ausmus at second, and that misses. 3-0.
Well, and the other thing, too, with Aaron Cook, he could probably, unlike a lot of young guys, pitch around somebody. Maybe he feels more comfortable going, who knows, but he's trying to go out there and make that quality sinker work.
That almost looked like a four-seamer, George, was it?
Yeah, with the late move, the good fastball, but it didn't have the hard bam, at the very end of it. It didn't have that drop down, and it is, man, that's a beautiful shot. Great camera work, guys. You can see the four-seam grip right across the baseball. See, it's going to have a little late run to it. It's not going to have that hard sink to it, but a little more velocity behind it.
Probably go back to the sinker here, and he touches the outside corner at 94. That's the hardest ball he's thrown all night.
It is the hardest one that he's thrown all night, and in a good location with it, too.
3-2 with 2 outs. Ausmus at second base. Hudson 1 for 1 and a walk. He's got a 16-game hitting streak. Dodgers up 1-0. And this is fouled off.
Well, what Drew's talking about when he said four seam, folks, that's the seams across the baseball here where he's placing it. But when you turn your hand a little bit to the side, that's where you create the sail on the baseball versus the two seam, where you're right over the top of these seams. And when the ball comes out, you're going to get the dive on the baseball. The two different grips. Drew talked about the four seam. You saw the sail because he's across it, but he let his hand get off to the side. That's what created the spin this way to make the move that way with the baseball.
Very quickly, how's Aaron grip his two-seamer?
Well, he's a little bit off of it here, where he's overexposed on one side to pronate a little bit more to create more sink.
3-2 again on Hudson. Down low, so Hudson goes to first. And now they're 2 on for Andre Ethier, who is 2 for his last 19, but he has outstanding numbers against Aaron Cook. If your windshield has any damage to it, please call Colorado's #1 team, Elite Safelite Auto Glass, 303-287-5000, or visit them online at safelite.com. Ethier was very upset with Andy Fletcher in his last at bat. He got called out on a fastball in the inside corner and kind of dropped all his equipment right around the plate, which can be a no-no. Outside, ball 1.
Well, they had a couple of beasts with the home plate umpire Andy Fletcher tonight. Helton had one, and then this time Ethier had one, but that was a pretty good pitch by Cook. A better called third strike that Cook thrown than what Eric Milton did to Helton.
And now it's 2-0 on Ethier. Ethier started out red hot this year. Second week of the season, he was the National League Player of the Week when he hit .391 with 4 home runs. He had 2 home runs April 18th against the Rockies, in fact. And now it's 3-0 with Casey Blake on deck. And unlike Ethier, as cold as Andre's been the last week or so, that man has been as hot as anybody in the game this side of Joe Mauer. Clint Hurdle's more aware of that than anybody. Here's the 3-0. And that's ball 4. And now they're loaded up for Blake. Casey Blake looking over. He's done this routine before. He knows the pitching coach is coming out. Bob Apodaca to the mound. Look at the pitch count. That's not something you typically worry about with Aaron Cook. He can go 2-3 innings in a row, George, and have 6, 7, 8 pitch innings.
Absolutely, that's the one thing that he does a great job of, and zip right through some things. And, back out to this, say, hey, let's get back together, take a little deep breath here, get a good pitch on him, put it on Blake, and see if you can get after it. Blake 275 with runners in scoring positions. He's had 40 shots at it. He's hit more home runs with runners in scoring position, 3 on the season than any other Dodger.
Well, the one thing the infield can do now, too, with Blake up there, they can go ahead and play 2 steps deeper. Give him a little bit more range because they can still fire the ball across. And Blake doesn't have that speed going down the line. So you back up towards the edge of the grass and cut down one of those base hits. It just might be the seeing eye variety.
So here we go. Blake takes ball 1. That's not close. Aaron has walked 23 hitters this year. It's not an alarming number by any stretch, but last year in the entire season he walked only 48, and he's about halfway to that number, and obviously we're nowhere near the halfway point of the season. Blake doubled his last time, and that's in there for a strike, 1-1. Casey Blake hitting over 370 in the month of May, and his slugging percentage is around 700 in the month of May. And he has struck out just 1 time in his last 29 plate appearances. So he is in a very good place. Not the guy you want up right now with the bases full. And this ball is lined to deep left field. And it is going to short hop the wall. 3 runs are going to score. Blake has his second double of the ball game, and now the Dodgers have a significant lead. It is 4-0. Well, we said it. He's about the last guy Aaron Cook wanted to see in that situation. He is some kind of hot.
And the Dodgers, not a club with 2 outs, bases loaded, that have done a lot this year. They've hit $150. Well, they didn't here. They came up big time here with the bases loaded by Blake with a couple of outs out over the head of Matt Merton into left center field. Similar to what happened in his previous bat. As you watch on the Hyundai cam, that sink worked back to the inner part and down and allowed him to drop the head of the bat on it, Huey, and he drove it.
Well, he did, and then the two walks that you had, both of those come around to score. But Blake is just in a great place as a hitter right now. And that's not good for the Rockies, but as a hitter, you're sitting there going, you know what? Doesn't matter if I fall behind, whatever the count is. I'm seeing the ball so well, I can put a good pass on it.
And Huey, the Dodgers, without question, are in a great place as a ball club. They're the best record in baseball, but that's what happens. Is Lonnie grounds to second. When you need a key hit, they get a bases clearing double instead of a ground ball to short, and it's still 1-0. Other than that, now it's 4-0. Happened yesterday. Time and money. Dodgers tomorrow afternoon here at Coors Field. Thursday will be an off day. The Padres in over the weekend, then is off to Houston, Texas to see the Astros. And the Astros have fallen on hard times. They've lost 5 in a row. They're now in the cellar in the tight NL Central. You know who has the second best record in baseball, George, to the Los Angeles Dodgers? Clint Barmas steps up.
Texas Rangers.
It was Texas yesterday. It's now Milwaukee. Well, this ball's hit a ton left center field. Way back and gone. So Clint Barmas gets the Rockies on the board with his 5th big fly of the year.
And the pitch from Milton at 84 miles an hour and a cutter that he just kept way up on top of the baseball. And it was working to the inner half. Clint opens the front half, and it cut right to the sweet spot for him. And he just able to drive it out of the ballpark to give the Rockies a run in this ball game.
Here's your Torrealba.
One more look at this on the Hyundai cam. Watch Clint's movement at the plate as the pitch comes in. See, look at this open up here. The hips open up, shoulder opens up. He recognizes the cutter coming in and just smokes it to left field.
I like what Milton did after he hit it. He just dropped his head.
Well, not unusual. I mean, there's the swing here. Look at man, that is so cool. Well, that, and look at Barnes' head. I mean, he never left his eyes, never left the baseball the whole time in contact. Well, give another look on the Hyundai cam. Just watch Clint, watch his connection on this baseball. It's like, man, look at that face. It looked like a fighter's face, like he's getting ready to punch it, didn't it? All snarled up, and he just lifted the ball out of the ballpark.
Palm up, palm down on that swing.
Torrealba skies out. Aaron Cook struck out his first time. He's up there with 1 out.
Isn't it amazing every time a guy hits a home run?
Aaron Cook trying to run his way on. Milton defers. Safe. Aaron Cook beats out a bunt. That gives you an idea, Jeff Houston, just how competitive 28 is.
Well, he understands. I mean, it's all about base running. So go ahead and try to lay one down here. He already saw the pitcher fumble on a ball against Ryan Spilborghs earlier. I'm surprised Brad Ausmus didn't call him off and take that, because his momentum was going that way. And he had an opportunity to do it, but Cookie just outruns it.
Yeah, but that's the ultimate of surprise.
Yes.
I mean, did anybody sitting here, you're down 4-1, to think Cook's going to lay a bunt down at the first base line?
No.
Yeah, everybody's like, yeah, I knew that all along.
Nope.
Now Dexter Fowler at the plate. You know, as much as Clint Hurdle admires that, the competitiveness and everything, you just hold your breath, because you know, Cook's running hard, and he has to reach for the bag. He's worried about a hammy.
Yeah, that's the last thing they need.
And Dexter hits it fair. And Aaron Cook came in, spikes up on Orlando Hudson, and then tapped him on the back, said, hey, no harm, no foul.
Well, Cookie's got 2 batting gloves on, too, just for that slide. He didn't want to damage those hands. Orlando Hudson's laughing about it. The cutter in on the hands of Dexter. It looked like it was going to go foul for just a second, then it popped back into fair territory, and Dexter was able to get down the line, but Cookie ran hard, and as you mentioned, Drew, nice slide into second base.
Tulowitzki at the plate, 2 outs. And that's inside on Troy. A single and a pop out.
Coors Field's own Rockhands Conference Center is available for your game day or non-game day meetings. The groups of 225 to 200 will enjoy the views of the city as well as the ball field from a great, unique meeting place. For more information, 303-312-2424.
If Troy can run into one. Clint Barmes, a home run earlier in the inning. Troy's due to hit 1 out. It's been a while.
Maybe another one of those cutters from Milton that just stays flat instead of cuts down. Got a chance to run into it.
Now, they're starting that 3rd time through the lineup. And again, we mentioned how many times he'd used the soft curveball. Now it seems in the 2nd time through this lineup, Jeff, he went to more cutters.
This off the end of the bat. Pop fly to shallow right. Ethier makes a catch. In the inning, there were 2 hits, 1 run for the Rockies. Clint Barmes with his 5th home run of the year to get Colorado on the scoreboard. It's 4-1 Los Angeles through 5. FSN is brought to you by the Great Colorado Payback, reuniting you with your money, and by the Courtyard by Marriott on the 16th Street Mall. Ask about our hometown sports package. We go to the 6th inning. Matt Kemp will lead it off for the Dodgers. They have a 4-1 lead. Here's our Verizon speed of the game. Aaron Cook legging out a bunt base hit. Jeff Houston has the stopwatch down there along the first base line. What was that, about 3.7?
Unfortunately, not quite that fast. It was about 4.27.
That's all right. It worked.
Yes, it did. Whatever works. It doesn't matter if it was 3.37, whatever. It's a base hit.
Kemp, a couple of ground balls to Tulowitzki, and that was a slider that stuck in the hand for a while. That was funny. Yorvi Torrealba and Matt Kemp both went to retrieve it off the wall. Watch this.
Doink.
He's coming back.
I got it.
Who got it?
Yorvi got it. That was funny.
And Aaron Cook yet another chance, and he gets Matt Kemp. Last ball game for Cook when he threw the complete game shutout, his second, the 4-hitter at the Atlanta Braves. We were discussing the 20 ground ball outs and how large a number that was. Well, since 2000, Dougie did a little research. Doug Marino, who does such a terrific job up here with us, he said since 2000, the most ground ball outs in a game, Brandon Webb 26 in June of 2003. Aaron Cook had 23 in a ball game. This includes hits, I should say. So let me correct that.
Wait a minute.
20 ground ball outs. Hits? No, what it is balls on the ground. That's how they I guess they tally it.
A base hit too?
Yeah, because I'm looking at this and Webb had 23 ground ball outs. He gave up 3 hits on the ground. So, I mean, however you want to look at it. This is a soft fly. Can Barnes get there? Nope. It's going to be a broken bat hit for Juan Castro. Cook had the next highest on 2 occasions. He had a deal where he had 19 ground ball outs, 4 ground ball hits in 2007 against the Giants. So those were the top 2. There were 6 other ball games where guys had 23 balls induced on the ground. So that is a huge number. 1 out, 1 on for Brad Ausmus. Ausmus single and a run scored last inning. Aaron's got 14 ground ball outs tonight. Problem is the Rockies are trailing 4-1. Biggest hit of the ball game last inning, bases loaded, and Casey Blake scores everybody with a double to deep left center field. Juan Pierre had a 3-run triple yesterday in the Dodgers 16-6 win. Time for another email. Yesterday during the pregame show, we discussed how many quality starts the Rockies have had. What's a quality start? Well, sometimes we don't like that term. George, I speak for you here. I know that
I can't stand it, but go ahead.
But what it means, folks, is that if a starting pitcher goes at least 6 innings and gives up 3 earned runs or less, they get what's known as a quality start. And basically, it's indicative of a starting pitcher, George, giving his team a chance to win.
Yeah, that's the other stat I like a little better than that one is how many team wins did they have when you started the game versus quality start. I mean, you may have given up 5 runs, but went 7 innings, and your team won 7-5. That's more important to me than the other side of it. You kept your team in it enough that the offense carried, and you won a ball game. So I like the stat to look at one time to see what is the team's record when you take the mound that night.
But to the question, you know, the Rockies, what doesn't match up, Frazier, is the fact that the Rockies have all these quality starts, yet their record is well beneath 500. Runner was going, so Atkins will throw to first to get to Osmus. Castro at second, and here comes Eric Milton. I'll tell you this much: if you told Joe Torre Eric Milton was going to swing the bat, Jeff Houston, for himself in the 6th inning with a 3-run lead, he'd have been ecstatic.
Yeah, he would have said, okay, we'll just go ahead and start in the 6th inning and see where we're at. I mean, that's how happy he is with the start. You look back to what he did in his first outing, only 4 innings, and he was just hoping he'd be able to go out there, as you mentioned, just give him at least 5. That's what he was hoping for, and now he's into the 6th.
His last major league win came August the 8th, 2006, with Cincinnati versus St. Louis, 10-3.
Since that time, he has been in a rehab mode mostly after having Tommy John surgery in mid-2007. Castro at second.
Kind of interesting. I'm thinking back to this inning, and they hit and run twice with Castro and Osmus. And I'm sitting there going, well, why did they do that? And now it makes sense because they hit and run. Now they at least get the pitcher up there and flip that lineup over, and that's what Joe Torre's looking at. And very rarely you'll see the 8-hole hitter hit and run with the pitcher trailing.
Well, Cook strikes out. Milton final out in the 6th inning. Castro left at second base. 4-1 Dodgers. Sixth inning, Helton, Spilborghs, and Merton. And before all of that, here's Mark Stout.
All right, Drew, one of my favorite fun facts I've come across. It's from XL Energy, and it's from BaseballReference.com. The Rockies and the Dodgers are the top 2 pinch hitting teams in the National League as of now. Dodgers at 321, Rockies at 305. Did you know Mickey Mantle holds the record for the most pinch hit appearances in games, 28 in a row, in which he did not get on base during that streak that occurred between 1964 and 1966. He struck out 13 times, had 1 RBI on a sac fly in a game, but he went 28 straight pinch hit appearances without getting on base. Mickey Mantle holds that record. Pretty cool fun fact, guys.
George, there's Mr. Sunshine again. The Hall of Famer Mickey Mantle found a way to
think you didn't do well, right?
See, I thought you'd do a little more research and say how many of them were Sunday day games that happened in.
That's about how Mantle pinch hit, right?
He's a lousy pinch hitter. Can't believe he got in the Hall.
Right.
When it comes to your water heater, 120 is the magic number. Overheating your water beyond 120 can be wasteful and unsafe. Learn more at responsiblebynature.com. Todd Helton takes that pitch inside. It's 2-0 on Helton. Rockies with 12 outs to work with offensively, trailing 4-1. Todd has struck out twice in the game. Once looking, once swinging. And that touches the outside corner, 2-1. Corey Wade, so good a year ago, has battled some injuries this year, is warming up in that Dodger bullpen. I said there's 12 outs to work with. Jeff, George and I were discussing this earlier. You know where I'm going.
Yeah, really only 9.
There's really only 9, because Jonathan Broxton is about as good as it gets in the 9th inning.
Well, I laughed, Jeff, today. Ball made that same comment. He goes, I said, you know, you got the big guy at the end of the bullpen, and he goes, he looks at me and he goes, yeah, he's all right. I said, all right, come on. He throws 96 to 100. All right, he's been almost perfect in the closer's role. So what more would you want?
Nothing. I mean, that's what you want out of your closer. You want that guy to come in, and when you have a lead, and how comforting that is for Joe Torre. And there's Jonathan Broxton to say, all right, big boy, you got the 9th, and then shut it down for us.
Two-two, punch the other way. Todd Helton with a base hit. And that's a nice start to the 6th inning.
The 80th pitch for Milton in the ballgame, too. Is that last start talked about 4 innings, 84 pitches total for Eric Milton.
Ryan Spilborgh's up there. Spilly with a base hit last at bat.
It was just kind of vintage Helton. Fell up a couple pitches, tried to go away, and just flicks it over into left field.
Yeah, let's talk a minute, Jeff, about as we get deeper into this game in the 6th inning, the strategy side of this for Joe Torre. That he looks at it from this standpoint. All right, Quintanilla, how many times he pinch hit all year? Not very many. So he can kind of put an X out here. He's probably not going to be a guy that Clint would go to early if he had to pinch hit in a game down like this. Hop got a little bit of a leg issue. He can still swing the bat. He can leave the yard. Is he going to run him up there? You know, you can kind of draw a semi-line there. So what he's trying to do by bringing in the right-hander, let's see if he'll flip it. Let's see if he'll go to Stewart. Let's see if he'll go to Smith and trade out his outfield to set it up so Ullman would be the guy to face all those left-handers again, or if Clint will stand pat in the 6th inning and stay with the right-on-right with Wade out in the bullpen.
Right.
You know, this is part of the little chess game that Joe Torre's doing now. He believes enough in Wade's sinker that he'll allow him to face those left-handed bats if Clint so chooses to go and get Merton and Spilborghs out of the lineup and to use Stewart and Smith's bat.
Yeah, if he doesn't, then he's got Ullman for the 8th.
We'll see how it plays out when we come back. Dodgers 4, Rockies 1, nobody out in the 6th. Todd Helton with a leadoff single. Ryan Spilborgh's coming up. And Corey Wade is the new pitcher for LA. This call to the pen is brought to you by Comcast Digital Home Phone Service. Warm up to unlimited local and long distance. Call 800 Comcast. What a job he did a year ago, George.
He was phenomenal. I tell you, this right-hander was outstanding. He's pitched in 15 games so far. He's been beat up a little bit, obviously 0-3 in those opportunities for saves. He hasn't been able to convert any of those. Over 14 2/3 innings. When right, though, he's a very, very good setup man. That's the one thing that he can do, and I think they're trying to ease him back by putting him in the 6th inning versus the 7th and 8th, Jeff.
Well, yeah, you look at that. I mean, anytime to me, and George, you know that with the shoulder issues with the pitcher, when he comes back, I'm sure there's always that doubt in the back of his mind, no matter how good he was last year. He doesn't have the experience to rely on that veteran guys do about how to get guys out at the big league level. So, yeah, even though he says he's healthy, everything's good, arm feels good, there's still that doubt when they come back, when they get back at this level, and they don't have that experience to draw on.
Well, the thing is, one thing the Rockies do that I agree with is they make those guys take those rehab assignments and get about 10 or 12 innings in before they bring them back. And I think, once you've been at the big leagues, you want to rush things up once you think you're healthy, and you're really not. I mean, you're not ready to come up and pitch 3 times a week. A little bit of history, not a whole lot with Wade and Spielborg. 0 for 1 in Spielborg's career against him.
And it's 2-0.
I just looked at that last fastball, 86 miles an hour. I remember him last year throwing just a little bit harder.
Well, he was in the low 90s. He was 90, 91, 92 miles an hour with a lot of movement on him.
Yeah.
As a pitcher, anytime you try to force the movement is when you run into problems. And I think obviously that's probably what he's more ran into than anything else. With Wade, we mentioned earlier 15 ball games, his 16th to appear in. He's walked 6, he's only struck out 8.
He hits on a 3-0 pitch. Corey Wade will turn 26 in a couple of days. From Indianapolis, makes his home now in Ogden, Utah. And that caught the corner. Ryan Spielborg, who's already headed down the first base line.
The reason this call gets called, I'm going to split right down the middle of Osmus, and then you can see he's just a little bit off of it. Well, Osmus has enough of the plate on his body that he gets the call from that part. Clint's not happy about the call, obviously, but I think that's where that veteran catcher comes into it.
Strike 3. Now Spielborg is irate.
Yep, he's not the only one.
.30, 3 straight called strikes, and Spielborg's is gone. Look at the 3-2 pitch.
Now, the thing with Spilly on that, he's thinking low, and you can see how he reaches out. Osmus does. Watch the arm extend, pull the glove to the body. Good receivers can get you so many strikes.
We've seen that a couple times.
Yeah, Osmus has been a Gold Glove winner. Matt Merton at the plate. Jeff, let me ask you, I mean, does the old line apply that you heard early on in life? Hey, if it's close enough to be called a strike, swing the bat?
Yeah, it does. And especially, we've seen it tonight a couple times with Andy Fletcher. He's had a little bit of that floating zone. So if it was more defined and you said, okay, it's a high zone tonight or a low zone, inside, outside, you'd have a little bit better idea of which one you had to let go. But when you're not quite sure, yeah, you got to try to protect and at least try to foul it off.
Well, as a hitter, though, Jeff, don't you think the frustration shown a little bit on the 3-1 strike away? That Andy's like, okay, hits the spot again, I'm going to ring you.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too, because guys have already been barking.
Well, there's been a lot of barking. It's like there's a dogfight at home plate tonight.
Yeah, and that's the other thing already. He's a little bit defensive, so that 3-1's called, and you look at it, now all of a sudden 3-2, his dander's up a little bit.
And do you think, I mean, honestly, obviously Joe Torre had come out of the dugout. Clint did. Do you think that puts the dander a little heavier one way than the other?
No, I don't think so. I just think you look back at some of the guys already. Andre Ethier was upset about a call. Todd was upset. So I think he's getting it enough from both sides. But even that last pitch right there on Matt, from my angle, and I don't know where it crossed on the plate, but that looked a little bit high. And instead of going to that, as we like to say, that swing count from 2-1, now it's 1-2.
Here is the 1-2 inside, 2-2 on Merton. Matt a single and a fly ball to center field. Garrett Atkins on deck. Down the right field line, and that is a foul ball. Franklin Morales threw a simulated game today, and his control was much better than the simulated game he threw last week. And the Rockies are getting very close to sending him out. Where they send him is yet to be determined.
And I watched him today. The arm worked much better, and that's what I was looking for, is the freedom of the arm and the movement. Of what he was showing out on the mound today is more of his old self. I mean, the elbow was up, which tells me he's obviously the shoulder's feeling much better. The extension out front beyond that right kneecap and his follow through and finish. It tells me another thing, that everything's getting a little bit better, and that's good. That is a great sign, folks. By the way, Ryan Spire,
3-2.
Ryan Spire completed his rehab in Tulsa last night, and he has now moved up the next ladder, obviously in Colorado Springs. A ball club is playing very well, first place right now by a game and a half. Tulsa trails Springfield in AA by 2.
Helton at first, 3-2. And that is ball 4. Merton to first, Helton to second, and the tying run to the plate, Garrett Atkins. Exemplary injury report. Jeff Baker with the hand sprain, scheduled to see a specialist back in the D.C. area tomorrow. Taylor Buchholz continues to progress. He's still probably about a month away, 3 to 4 weeks away, if all goes well, with that right elbow strain suffered very early in spring training. And Jeff Francis, as most of you know, will not pitch in 2009. He had labrum surgery. Curveball for a strike. Atkins a line single to left in the second, and he popped to first in the fourth. Garrett with 3 home runs this year. That misses. Runners in scoring position tonight. The Dodgers are 1 for 10, but that one was a big one. A 3-run double off the bat of Casey Blake. And this is off the end of the bat. High fly ball to center field. 2 outs. That'll bring up Clint Barmes, who is the reason the Rockies have their only run. His last time up, he had his 5th home run of the year.
A different look now for Clint. Obviously, with Milton the lefty, he's going to have to look for some more soft stuff from the right-hander in Wade.
Yeah, I thought it interesting because with Merton, he went hard stuff away and then tried to come in hard stuff, and then in the next, the next guy comes up, and all of a sudden it's real soft stuff with Garrett Atkins.
I think just different type of hitters.
Guys with some power. I mean, obviously one of those deals that you back away from, you're a little scared of. Pitch a little differently.
Well, and the one area for Clint that you don't want to miss is that fastball inside.
Yeah, you better not. And that, and don't hang the slider.
Yep. So if they do come in, it'll be more of a show it, but try to get him looking away.
Tonight's delivery of the game brought to you by Jimmy John's, Eric Milton, and that one was knocked out of the yard by Clint Barmes to deep left center field. Jimmy John's delivery of the game, courtesy of the Rockies second baseman, veteran now, Clint Barmes. And the hook, and Clint was out in front, 1 ball and 1 strike. Helton began the inning with a base hit to left. Spilborg's caught looking. Merton walked. Atkins, a fly ball to center. Corey Wade steps off the back. He wants a new series of signs from Brad Ausmus. And this is hit toward right center field. Will it drop? Nope. Matt Kemp got over there and made the catch. So the Rockies lead 2 on in the 6th inning. The Dodgers 4 and Colorado 1.
The Coors Light freeze cam, and let's go back to the home run Clint Barmas hit. And as you take a look at this swing on a ball up on a cutter, man, you talk about some back leg drive. Look at this knee. I love the head, stand right on it, and the drive out into the outfield. The great look on the face of Clint Barmas, because it's going to have a smile on it after he sees where this ball drops. Out in left field, a home run for Clint Barmas. And for Clint Barmas, it was his 5th home run of the year, 18th RBI for Clint Barmas. That was the Frost Brewed Coors Light freeze cam.
Dodgers ahead 4-1. The difference in this ball game, a 3-run double with 2 outs off the bat of Casey Blake, who will hit 4th this inning. Juan Pierre, Orlando Hudson, and Andre Ethier to face Aaron Cook.
Big inning, top of their order right now with Juan Pierre coming up, so you're going to have the speed. Hudson, a guy that can handle the bat behind him, so it's an opportunity to hit and run, do some things. Big inning for Aaron Cook. Obviously, he's hitting 2nd in the inning. For any chance for him to win, he's got to finish this inning.
This is right center field. Dexter Fowler's going to have to chase it down. This is triple territory. Pierre, who tripled yesterday, has got one here. His 2nd hit of the ball game. And he'll get a high five from Larry Boa. Man, you usually pull the outfield in when Juan Pierre's up. Look what he did.
This is the point. I want to freeze everything here because you can see how shallow Dexter is. And then in left field, you can see it with Merton. Yesterday, he drove a ball right out here in the wall. Remember that? Well, when you come in this close and you leave a ball up into the zone, he has the strength to drive a ball. And when he does, it's off to the races. And, folks, 9 out of 10 times, he's going to end up at third base. Whenever you shorten the defense up that much on Pierre, he's starting to take advantage of that against the opposition.
And now Hudson, who's swinging a very hot bat, has the luxury of the infield being in.
You know what? He just glides, doesn't he? I mean, he's looking up going, all right, got to put this little helmet back on again. And off he goes. And then about right here, he goes, all right, there's no shot.
I like the way he just cut the bases. On the inside corner.
And there's a base hit for Hudson. And another run for the Dodgers. 2 for 11 tonight, runners in scoring position. With their 2 large hits, now you have a 4-run lead in the latter third of the ball game. And Juan Pierre, the guy that was the forgotten Dodger, has made all the difference in the world in the absence of Manny Ramirez.
Think of all the hits he's gotten and what he's done with his average. It was at 388 coming in here, and then the big base hits he got the day after Ramirez. I mean, it was like a total pickup after Manny had gotten busted and he went into the lineup. 2 balls off of the wall in that game.
Hey, Huey, you couldn't have made a better trade. I mean, yeah, you go out and say, all right, for a couple of months, let's go get a slugger that somehow is on a team that they want to unload salary or whatever. But I don't think there could be a better fit than the guy they had on their bench.
No, because of what he can do in the clubhouse as well. I mean, you think about those two things. He comes out there, he gives you the hits, he gets you on base, but he also is that clubhouse guy that keeps everybody together. If they bring somebody else in, now all of a sudden he's got to try to mix in with all the other people that are already there. They had the perfect guy in Juan Pierre because everybody loves him.
No, he hasn't done a whole lot. He's just hit nearly 400 since May 7th before tonight. 397. On base percentage of near 500. 29 hits so far. And the doubles, 8. The triples, they just keep getting bigger and bigger. 385. Juan Pierre with runners in scoring position. Wow.
Yeah, a big wow. 5-1 LA. Back in a moment. Changes. Juan Pierre led the inning off with a triple. Orlando Hudson, who's been on base 4 times, singled him in. It's 5-1. Omar Quintanilla in a double switch comes in at second base. Clint Barmas checks out, and Josh Fogg, who made his second Rockies debut, if you will, yesterday, is on the hill now. And this call to the bullpen is brought to you by Comcast Digital Home Phone Service. Warm up to unlimited local and long distance. Call 800 Comcast. And Andre Ethier will be first, George.
I was kidding Josh Fogg a little bit. I said, flashback, man. He came out of that bullpen because at Florida, he was a closer in college when originally signed. So, you know, I said, coming out of the bullpen, he goes, yeah, it's been a while, but it sure feels good coming out of this bullpen. I can tell you that.
Ethier is 0 for 2 in a walk, and he takes a strike. Clint Hurdle was saying before the ball game, and guys, you remember yesterday late in the ball game we were discussing if Clint may be forced to go to a position player in that blowout victory for the Dodgers. And you know, it's the last thing, honestly. You know, fans at home think it's, you know, it's kind of cute, and you see the second baseman throw or the utility guy throw, but it's really the absolute last thing a manager wants to do because there could be an injury. And Huey, you referenced the thing with Jose Canseco many years ago. Well, Clint acknowledged before the ball game today, he said that's as close as he's ever come. And he said if Manny Corpus's 2 innings were reversed, if you recall in the 8th inning, he had a 6-pitch inning, and then he struggled a little bit in the 9th, and he gave up a run, and I think had 20-plus pitches. Had he thrown 20-plus pitches in the 8th inning, Clint may have been forced to throw maybe an Omar Quintanilla.
Well, yeah, which would have been, to me, unfortunate because you did have a couple guys down there in the bullpen, but they had been throwing a lot. So, yeah, I don't think any manager, I know Groove, Don Baylor, refused to use a position player as a pitcher, and that's one of those situations where it's embarrassing, I think, to everybody involved. Yeah, the guys kind of laugh about it, but nobody wants to be in that spot.
Well, the last guy they used as position guys was Brent Maine against the Atlanta Braves, and he got a W. And he got a line drive right back at him. His repertoire was about an 80-mile-an-hour fastball and a knuckleball. You know, Todd Zeal in 02 also pitched, so I guess they've had to use him a couple of times. That's back when prior to the humidor, when you had some of those
runner going, throw to second, and on the bag.
Wait a minute, down here we've got catcher's interference.
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
Wow.
Fletcher called it, so they're going to move him back. That's big.
It was on the follow through, and it came up and hit Yorvit's hand. I mean, Ethier on the swing, and right there, that's where he made contact.
Hit the glove, not the throwing hand. But any contact at all is going to get it called. See, when the glove, it comes back and catches the glove, which obviously gets in the way of Torrey Alba and hesitates to throw enough and put it in the dirt.
So a strikeout of Ethier, and that'll bring up Casey Blake with 1 out.
Boy, he's been a lot of fun for the Rockies tonight. A couple of doubles, 3 RBIs.
Yeah, his numbers lately are just ridiculous. Orlando Hudson gets checked out. Blake's 27 for his last 61 with 17 RBIs. That's over the last 16 games.
500 almost. Wow.
And that's when Manny Ramirez was suspended.
Well, you always look for somebody to pick you up. Good teams have it. You mentioned, I mean, Pierre's on base percentage, everything we talked about, what he's done with runners in scoring position, the number of RBIs that he has already for Pierre. But this guy's the guy that jumped in there, too, with a big bat.
8 of his last 11 games have been multi-hit games. Well, Dodger fans always travel well. They're like Cub fans.
Well, you know what? It is, and there's a lot of people from the LA area that have moved to Denver. So obviously when the Dodgers are in town, they come out.
Oh, and 2 on Blake. Ground ball to third, tough hop, and out there, safe at first. That's a pretty good play by Garrett Atkins.
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, you could put a big star out there. That was unbelievable because he got caught in between hops. He had to start to backpedal to get to the baseball to backhand it. There's no way he could charge and make a play, and then the only play he does have is to second base.
Well, and I got to give a lot of credit to Omar. I mean, this was a tough play from Garrett. He looks it in, strong throw, but Orlando Hudson's right on his tail, and he still gets that ball off and makes it close over at first. I mean, that was 2 plays between Garrett Atkins and Omar. And of course, the guy comes in and double switch. He's going to be involved in a play somehow, some way, right off the bat.
That's outside, ball 1 on James Loney. 3 ground outs for Loney. One of them was a productive ground out after a leadoff double in the 4th inning by Blake. He grounded to second to move him to third, but Aaron Cook got the next 2 hitters. Aaron goes 6+ innings. He's allowed 5 runs at least on 8 hits. He is responsible for the runner at first base. Not literally, since he didn't face Blake, but from a scoring standpoint, he does. Fox 2-0 misses. It's 3-0. Josh a little trimmer than we saw him last year working in a Reds uniform. He said he's cut down a few pounds. Ball 4. Yeah, Loney waited. He wasn't sure.
He thought it was going to be strike 1.
So Loney to first, and now Kemp comes up.
Well, remember too, Fogg worked an inning yesterday. He's back working today. At Colorado Springs, he was a starter. So it was 4 days in between rest. But because of his arsenal and what he does, sink, slide, change up, it gives him the ability, and plus a very resilient arm to come back and work in back-to-back days and not lose a lot of velocity, not lose the direction. Some guys that aren't used to this type of workload, you know, they'll get stiffened up a little bit. They don't follow through. The ball rises in the strike zone. You don't have the same action on the baseball.
Just missed on the inside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike on Matt Kemp. 2 ground balls to Tulowitzki and a comebacker for Kemp in the ball game.
Well, they've kept Kemp off balance with coming inside with that fastball, sinking it away with Aaron Cook, and then breaking pitches.
And a ground ball to Quintanilla. Josh Fogg comes on and does a very nice job. Well, another run for the Dodgers in the 7th, however. Triple by Pierre, single by Hudson, 5-1. Time to bring you up to speed with the AT&T Rapid Rewind. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. Ramon Troncoso is the new pitcher in the ballgame for the Dodgers. As we go to the bottom of the 7th inning, Yorvi Torrealba lead it off. Then Omar Quintanilla is scheduled, but Ian Stewart's on deck. Now, Clint had to have his reasons, but I was wondering when he double switched why, because Stewart plays second base now, why Stewart didn't go in at that point, and you put in Quintanilla for defense, and now you're going to pinch hit.
It's using 2 guys for a half inning. I mean, basically, it didn't really know. Well, you know what? It explains it now. Quintanilla went in a straight up. Apparently did not make a double switch. Fogg went in to the 9-hole.
I see. There's your answer.
Yeah.
And they just put it up on the scoreboard because we assumed it was a double switch.
And it wasn't.
And that's why Clint did it. So Fogg is due up next.
Well, and the thing is, originally by the scorekeeper here in the press box was announced to Doug, Marino, and Drew that it was a double switch. The way it was originally announced.
So if you score with this at home, and I know many of you do, Quintanilla is in the 7 hole. Not as was originally described. And that obviously makes more sense. I got an interesting email we're going to show you from Joseph. We all know the advantage of switch hitters. Has there ever been a switch pitcher? There have been switch pitchers. I don't know if any have gotten to the big leagues. There's actually one working right now.
Well, it was Harris with the Rockies, didn't he? Wasn't he a guy that went both ends, Dougie? It came over early on. It got from Boston.
Greg Harris?
Greg Harris was the guy that threw both ways.
Yeah, there's a pitcher.
A kid in the Yankees system.
Yeah, Pat, I think it's pronounced Venditti or Venditti. I'm not sure. But he's pitching an A-ball with Charleston. No swing. He's 2-1 with an 0.90 ERA. In 18 games, he works out of the pen, 20 innings. He has 13 saves. So, I mean, this isn't just a novelty act. This guy's been very good.
Is that the same kid from Creighton? Is that where he's from?
Yes, he's from Creighton.
Yeah. How about that? He goes out there and warms up, throws 4 from the right, 4 from the left.
That's wild stuff. All right, Ian Stewart will step in. The Rockies trail by 4 runs. Torrealba works out a walk against Troncoso. Now it's 2-0. Troncoso struggling to throw strikes.
Stewart with the most pinch hits of any Rocky, 5 out of 13. One of those a home run, a couple of RBIs. I mentioned earlier, Seth Smith, 13 pinch hit at bats also with 4 hits and 3 RBIs. Well, it's a lot of managers will tell you, folks, this is when they start managing a ball game in the 7th inning, when you have to do the pinch hits, the double switch, work the bullpens, try to get the matchups that you desire for at the end of the ball game.
Two and one on Stewart. And that's a strike. Troncoso's a hard thrower. He's 91 to 96.
Right, I remember the ball game here when they needed to give Broxton the night off. Remember, he went 3 innings, got the save in the ball game, and just threw the ball extremely well against the Rockies because he can move the ball to both sides of the plate. He can splint a big breaking ball on you, induce a lot of ground ball outs. Not afraid to pitch inside. Evident of that pitch to the left-handed hitting Stewart. You know, the one guy to face today is I came out early today and was up here in the booth doing some things, watching Morales' simulated game. Stewart hit one off the auxiliary scoreboard and right. Left on left again. We talked an awful lot about that.
And pull the trigger, strike 3.
You know what, Jeff, let me ask you this question, all right? Left-handed hitter, and the ball seemed to be up. You know, everybody's barking all night on Fletch, on Randy Fletcher behind the plate. Let's slow it down out front. Let's see why he thinks that ball is high.
Yeah.
Run it again if we can real well. Dexter's getting in. See, look at this. This ball's basically coming across his belt, but it's also coming right at him and then angling back to the center of the plate.
Well, the other thing, though, just the way Ausmus had to kind of cross his body to catch that baseball.
But it is, for a hitter, isn't it easy to give up on a pitch like that?
Yes.
Go, and then again you get rung up on it. Very confusing.
It is, because the way it comes up, it feels like it's really coming up underneath your hands and then back dies a little bit back over the inside part of the plate.
And that's a strike, 1-1. But there is a trend that the Rockies are trying to correct with Ian Stewart. And Huey, he's been awfully selective.
He has. To jump on that first fastball, especially from a right-hander. You just see him always, it seems like he's 1-2, 0-2 when he's facing a right-handed hitter. And that should be his bread and butter. Yeah, the lefties because of his ability to hit left-handed pitching. But if he wants to stay around and be productive and do all the things, he needs to jump on the righties. Because you're going to see 75% of the time you're going to see a right-handed pitcher out there.
And he's hitting just 160 against righties. That's inside on Dexter Fowler. Let's check in again with Mark Stout, tonight's Great Colorado Payback sideline report. Mark.
Thank you, Drew. Quick update on Dexter Fowler, and you mentioned earlier how in the second half in the last 10 games of May he has hit over 300. In the first 12 games he hit about 200. I talked to Don Baylor today about the adjustments he has made, and he told me that they lowered his hands a little bit in his stance. And Don Baylor, was an interesting conversation, said that when he was in the hospital, he was able to watch our games and really see the adjustment in work, and was happy to tell us that that's what he saw. But that's what they did. They dropped his hands down a little bit, and Fowler's been better at the plate. Drew?
Well, you got to remember, it's not his natural side as Rick Honeycutt goes to the mound. And so even though he's really been a quick study, Huey, from the left side, naturally you're not going to be as quick, you would think, to the baseball when you have hard throwers who are trying to bust you in. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's a very fair assessment. And the other thing too is when he starts with his hands a little bit lower, like he's been doing the last 10 games or so, he still goes up a little bit. But think about where they were starting before. They were up towards his ear and even above his helmet at times. And so you're trying to go from way up high back down through the zone. And even though he's got him a little bit lower, when he does go back, he raises him ever so slightly. But now they're more at his shoulder height when he goes to make the pass through the baseball, so you can be quicker to the ball.
Now Troy Tulowitzki hitting here with 1 out, 2 on. Tulowitzki 1 for 3. Todd Helton is on deck. The meeting's adjourned. And Tulowitzki to face Troncoso. Rockies have a single run tonight, a home run by Clint Barmas.
Well, this is where they need to take a page out of the Dodgers playbook and come up with that clutch hit with a couple runners on.
One and one. Foul back, 1 and 2 on Tulowitzki. Fastball, and it's in the air to right field. Andre Ethier waiting. 2 outs.
Well, with Jimmy Wright absent, he's gone home to his daughter's graduation. Marcel Latchman here running the bullpen. He's obviously a former pitching coach of the Rockies. The right-hand man for Dan O'Dowd, and a lot of the decision making. A scout for us. Does just a tremendous amount of work here. Came into town as Jason Groley warms up out in the bullpen for the Rockies to come on into the 8th inning. Latch in charge of the bullpen. Jimmy's daughter has a great graduation. Glad that the organization allowed him to go to it.
Strike on Helton. Todd a single through the left side of the infield this last time up. He's 1 for 3. Torrealba walked. He's at second. Fowler walked. He is at first. Todd with 2 outs and runners in scoring position, 10 for 17 this year, a .588 average. That's outside, 1 and 1. Rockies trying to avoid losing their 7th ball game in 8 outings this year against the first place Dodgers. Dodgers leading the division by 7.5. Rockies 12 back. That's a strike. San Diego's won 10 straight. They're 23 and 22. They're in second. And then the Giants, then Arizona, then Colorado.
Well, I just look at what the Dodgers done against the National League West, 21 and 8. And that tells you part of the reason why they're where they're at. Take care of business in your own division.
And Helton's gone. Brad Ausmus held on to the baseball. No throw is necessary. And that's it for the Rockies. In the 7th, they leave 2 men aboard. Colorado Rockies baseball on FSN is brought to you by Priority Mail flat rate boxes only from the Postal Service, a simpler way to ship. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by Mike Shaw Chevy Saab, Colorado's crossover and SUV headquarters for 50 years. Visit MikeShawAuto.com. Back in the Mile High City, it's 5-1 LA. New pitcher for the Rockies, Jason Grilli. Bottom third of the Dodger lineup. This will be Juan Castro, who's 1 for 3. And Jason has a slider in there for a strike. And congratulations to Juan Castro at the plate, a guy that has been a utility player throughout his career. He lines this one to left. It's a base hit. Tonight, George, his 1,000th big league game. That's a milestone.
Well, it's a great milestone for him. I mean, it really is. It's just the longevity of being in the big leagues and completing what he has been able to do.
And you know what? It's
having a great year.
And you know what, Jeff? And I say this with all respect in the world. You had a career that you could relate to a guy like Juan Castro. It's not like you were working on a 4-year deal every
right.
year and just cruise through spring training. I mean, you knew you were going to be battling and grinding, and that's what Castro has done, just like you did for a long time.
Well, and to tip your cap to him, too, because so many times you go to spring training, you hear guys talk about, oh, you know, I'm just trying to get my work in. Well, for guys like Juan Castro and myself, we didn't have that luxury. When the first game of spring training was open, that was it. I mean, we had to go out there and we had to start performing from day one. And that's what makes it so nice for Castro to get his 1,000th game, because you know he's gone to a lot of spring trainings where he's had to make the club.
Well, he's ridden a lot of buses. He didn't get any days off in spring training.
Nope.
He made the trips every day.
Always on that trip, at least from Tucson to Phoenix.
And typically, unfortunately, probably had to come into a lot of those 8th-inning ball games.
Whoa.
Oh, boy.
Billboards can't come up with it, and chance for a 4, safe. I was worried about a collision out there, Huey.
Yeah, you can see Omar going back on the ball, and you just keep going as a second baseman, and in the back of your mind going, you know what, I've gone too far. I've gone too far. I've got to expect the right fielder to come up pretty soon. And that is Ryan's ball. The outfielder has priority over the infielder, and he just didn't catch it. You see Omar going back, and he comes in, and you can see Ryan thought he was going to have a collision as well, because he backed off just a little bit, but you got to keep coming hard after the ball, and then the hustle from Castro to get into second base.
It has scored a base hit, so they're 2 on with nobody out. Troncoso in a sacrifice situation, so Joe will have him hit here. Whether or not he pitches next inning, there's no indication.
Yeah, there's nobody warming up down there bullpen. That gives me a little indication he may go back out again. I always try to check down there when managers do this, because their bench is short with only 4 guys, which typically have 5 in the National League, but they're carrying a heavy bullpen, so they have 4. So a little more to your point is, yeah, they could have a guy going and just have him bunt him over.
Well, really only 3, because Call is more than likely down.
He bunted a pitch that was difficult to bunt. Now Todd throws to Quintanilla.
Well, they set this up defensively for the play at third base, because Tulowitzki moved the runner back at second, and then Todd's charging extremely hard. Atkins was back. I mean, here it comes. Atkins was up. Tulowitzki to third, but the runner ended up making it. See, watch all the move. Here goes Tulo here. In. So now they're trying to get a play over here at third base, but by the time the ball was deadened right out here, there wasn't a chance for Helton to make a move there. Had to take the out at first base.
That's another job of execution by Troncoso.
Dodgers pitchers tonight had 2 sacrifices resulted in runs.
2 in scoring position for Juan Pierre. Infield's in. And here's a great example of how, with Juan Pierre's speed, earlier when the infield was in, you saw on the pull side they were, kind of, it seemed like halfway. Well, on the pull side here, because of his great speed, Quintanilla is literally a half a step from the infield grass, and once he makes his move on the delivery of the baseball, he will be on the grass.
Yeah, he starts right in the baseline, and then he comes up in front of it, 2 feet on the grass. And the other reason, too, you got Castro, who has good speed over at third base. So you can't afford to sit back like we saw earlier. Now you got to make sure that you come in. You got to stop that run from scoring no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, the infield's in because of Castro, not with Pierre. They'll give Pierre first if they get the out at the plate.
And a broken bat, base hit. Didn't even land on the outfield grass. And Spilborgh's hesitated, throw to the plate's late. Pierre moves up, 2-run single for Juan. And it is 7-1 LA. He just lifted the ball. The broken bat just got enough of it to get it over Quintanilla's head. And Pierre has his 3rd hit of the ball game, and his 17th and 18th RBI.
Yeah, and you know what, right here, and again, tomorrow in the box score, it's going to look absolutely horrible for Jason Grillo. But again, you got a drop fly ball and right, a broken bat that doesn't even get out of the dirt area off the bat of Pierre. But yet it's going to look like 2 runs on Jason. And again, if 2 plays are made, if the 1 play is made in right field, you still have a runner at first and 2 outs. Instead, a runner at second, 1 out, and 2 runs in against him.
Orlando Hudson takes a strike. But you could tell, Jeff, you looked at that swing on replay. Juan Pierre knew what he was doing. And I mean, he was trying to lift the baseball.
Yeah, I mean, he gets bat shattered. I mean, he got it out. He's trying to, because there's only 1 out and runners at first and second. I mean, it was a good at bat by Juan. There's no question about that.
It reminds me of Hudson's at bat earlier in this ball game back in the 7th inning when he did the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Infield in, and he just lifted a soft liner over second base.
Yeah, I mean, you could see where he dropped the barrel of the bat just a little bit, pulled those hands inside, and there's no better feeling as a hitter when you understand where the infield's playing and you look out there and you see how deep the outfielders are playing. Even though they're playing a little bit more shallow for Pierre, you just feel like there's miles and miles of green space to try to hit the ball, and that's what Pierre was able to do.
0-2 on Hudson. Strike 3. So Grilly strikes out Orlando Hudson, second out of the inning.
This is going to be that fastball. They're going to run in and then move back to the middle of the plate. The high strike's been called by Andy Fletcher all night long.
That was almost same location that Ian Stewart was called out on a strike. Strike 3 last inning.
Andre Ethier struck out twice. He's 0 for 3. Walked in the 5th and scored. Dodgers, we said it last night, in one of the innings they kind of methodically just kept the inning alive and ended up with 7 runs 1 inning, 8 runs in an inning later on. Well, tonight they've kind of done that over the entirety of the ball game. They got a run in the 1st, an unearned run against Aaron Cook, 3 in the 5th with 2 outs when that man Casey Blake unloaded a double with the bases full. They got a run last inning on a leadoff triple by Juan Pierre, and this inning they got 2 leadoff hits by Castro and Ausmus, and then Juan Pierre with a very soft single, but it was a productive one. 1 ball, 1 strike on Ethier. 11 hits for the Dodgers, 7 for the Rockies. Swung on and missed. If your windshield's damaged, don't wait. Call Colorado's #1 team, Elite Safelite Auto Glass, 303-287-5000, or visit safelite.com. Two balls, 2 strikes on Andre Ethier. And he knocks it foul down the left field line. Dodgers are 16 games over 500 for the 2nd time this year. They have not been 17 over yet.
Joe Torre took a bunch of young, very talented players, mixed with a couple of veterans, and look at what happened. I mean, this team's turned into a very good ball club. And to think that he lost Brad Pinnett, he lost Derek Lowe, 2 very good pitchers off of this staff, filled them in with some other younger guys, and you know, Joe's getting the credit, and as he should, for the success along with his coaching staff for what the Dodgers have done this year.
Here's the 3-2, and that's fouled off. Well, he deserves credit. I think, you know, the Dodgers were virtually everybody's pick to win the division. There's a ton of baseball left. The Dodgers are in a great place so far, but I think at least through the first 7-8 weeks, guys, the Dodgers may be a little bit better than even many of the experts thought they'd be.
Oh, I think so. I mean, you look at, to me, their biggest question mark, as George was talking about, some of the pitchers that they lost. How was their starting pitching going to be? And you look at what Billingsley's been able to do, and the kid we'll see tomorrow, Clayton Kershaw. I mean, those guys have really stepped up.
Ethier lines out, and that's all for the Dodgers in the 8th. They come up with another couple of runs, 7-1 they lead. Rockies won, bottom of the 8th inning. Ryan Spilborgh's Matt Merton and Garrett Atkins to face Ramon Troncoso. Spilborgh's is 1 for 3, a single in the 4th inning. Dodgers have made a change out in right field. Andre Ethier's out of the ball game. There is our hockey player, George, Jamie Hoffman.
Yeah, he's back again, isn't he? 8th round draft pick. As a hockey player, non-drafted as a baseball player.
You chatted with him a little bit earlier.
Yeah, he played for the Des Moines Buccaneers of the USHL. He was a centerman. He weighed about 185 pounds then, and ended up signing out of the American Legion over the summer. And he was all set to go to CC, play a little hockey there.
He's not a buck 85 anymore.
No, he's about 225 now. He said he had to put on some weight for baseball, but still likes to enjoy going out there and skating every once in a while, I'm sure.
Juan Pierre told us he's a heck of an athlete. He said he's really fast.
Had 28 steals last year. So, I mean, yeah, he's got some speed in the outfield.
He said, though, that Junior A, where he played in Des Moines, he said he really grew up as a person. He just graduated from high school, went there and played for a year, and thoroughly enjoyed it.
Broken bat, fly ball to center field. Matt Kemp has it. Ball went a pretty fair distance for a bat that exploded on impact. Let's check another email. Spilborgh's is retired. Matt Merton coming up. Danny wants to know, is Manny allowed to play minor league games before his suspension is over, so he's ready to return when the suspension is up, or is he barred from games at all levels for 50 games? He can't play in minor league games, best of my knowledge. He can work out at the stadium. He's worked out recently at Dodger Stadium, but at a certain time, what is it, Huey, about 3 hours?
No, when the gates open.
When the gates open, he has to be out of the ballpark.
Yep.
But he cannot go down and play for Albuquerque 2 weeks before.
No. A lot of time, I mean, I will be a bit surprised, though, Hugh, if he doesn't go down to their Dominican facility and work out there with the live batting practice. He can go in and face young hitters young pitchers in the afternoon, field ground balls.
Yeah, after they're done playing.
Merton hits this ball to right center field. Jamie Hoffman slides over, 2 outs. And that'll bring up Garrett Atkins. Garrett tonight, a single, a pop out, and fly ball to center field. The spinner's in there for a strike. Coming into tonight, the Rockies over their previous 9 games had allowed 56 runs. 34 of those runs, more than 60%, had occurred in 4 innings. They had the 10-run inning in Pittsburgh, the 9-run inning in Atlanta last night, an 8-run inning, a 7-run inning, and Atkins is retired. A 1-2-3 inning for Troncoso. We go to the 9th. The Dodgers 7, the Rockies 1. By Southwest Airlines. Southwest has low fares with no hidden fees, where what you see is what you pay. By Comcast Digital Home Phone Service, warm up to unlimited local and long distance. Call 1-800-COMCAST. By Big Brothers Big Sisters, donate your car and you'll get a free tow, a tax break, and you'll help change a kid's life. And by Mike Shaw Chevy Saab, Colorado's crossover and SUV headquarters for 50 years. Visit MikeShawAuto.com. Rockies on the short end right now as we reach the 9th inning, 7-1. They've been out hit 11-7. Post-game report is always to follow with Tom Helmer. Tom?
Yeah, coming up after the game, of course, we'll hear what Clint Hurdle has to say about this game. Casey at the bat. Casey Blake, his third straight game at cleanup, and he's batting .467. We'll talk about that, and also the cookbook. We'll break down Aaron Cook's performance tonight. And after complete games now, if he takes this loss, he's 1-5 with 3 no decisions. So he hasn't been great in games after a complete game, and tonight's just another example of that. We'll have all that coming up after the game, Drew.
All right, Tom, thank you. Casey Blake at the plate, 2 for 4, 2 doubles, 3 RBIs tonight. Jason Grilly's second inning of work in the fastball. Pops the glove at 90, and it is 0-2. Rockies pitching has produced only one 1-2-3 inning. That was back in the second inning when Cook retired Kemp, Castro, and Ausmus in order. Blake is gone. Strikeout victim. Fans feed your Rockies fever at Taco Bell. When the Rockies score 7 or more runs in a game, visit Taco Bell's in Colorado the following day between 4 and 6 in the afternoon. Get 4 tacos for $1 with the purchase of a drink. We still hope that's possible. The Rockies have to pull a page out of the Cleveland Indians playbook from last night, though, Frage.
A lot of big runs.
They were down 10-0 yesterday to Tampa and won. James Loney is 0 for 3 and a walk. Checking the scoreboard. Philadelphia beats Florida tonight 5-3. Blanton over Miller. Brad Lidge from Cherry Creek got his 9th save. He had been scuffling a little bit lately. Here's the 1-0. It's fouled off. The Reds beat Houston 6-4. Cincinnati is 25-20 for Dusty Baker. Joey Votto, his 8th home run. Lance Nix, big brother of Jason Nix, his 4th home run. Here's the 1-1, and that's a bullet to center field. Base hit for Loney, and that'll bring up Matt Kemp. Mets beat Washington tonight 6-1. The former National Livan Hernandez improves to 4-1. Gary Sheffield hit his 5th home run. Adam Dunn his 15th for the Nationals. Mets are now 25-20. Cubs, in a shortened game by rain, beat Pittsburgh 6-1. Marshall over Snell. Fukudome is 5th. That ball game went just 5.5 innings. St. Louis beat Milwaukee tonight 8-1. One ball and 1 strike. In that ball game, Kobe Rasmus hit his 5th. Duncan hit his 4th for the Cardinals. Adam Wainwright, George, hit a home run, and he got the victory. He's 5-2. So he went Little League on Milwaukee tonight. That pitch misses. 2 balls and a strike. Arizona in the 7th inning, leading in Phoenix 6-0 over San Diego. Mark Reynolds is at his 13th in that ball game. The reason that is particularly mentionable is the Padres have won 10 in a row this year. That's the best winning streak in the National League. Andy Fletcher got caught with that one.
One more shot of this on the Hyundai cam. You can see it. He caught it right up there. Now, some of them have those pads down there, but it's more on the outside instead of rolled in there. And you can see him kind of clutch that fist and say a lot of things, folks, we can't let you hear, because that hurt. You know, each team has a trainer, but the umpires don't. So that's where they rely, and it's typically the home trainer. Keith Duggar popped out to make sure he was all right.
Three and two on Matt Kemp. And this is a pop-up that Omar Quintanilla is pursuing, and he made the catch. Boy, oh boy, that is a tough play, Jeff Houston.
And it is the fact that he has go out and is going to grab the bare hand when he goes out. Watch, the glove's going to be right here, and he knows that it's going to be tricky, so he puts the bare hand up. It gets by the glove, and he caught it bare-handed, falling on the ground with the loss of balance and everything else.
Yeah. That's amazing. I was calling for Jeff. Huey made his way to center field the post-game set. 2 outs. Juan Castro at the plate. Giants leading Atlanta 4-0 in the 5th inning. That's the National League scoreboard. 2 outs, Loney at first. And that pitch is upstairs. 2-0 on Castro. American League. Cleveland has defeated Tampa again. Final score 5-1. Baltimore over Toronto 7-2. Texas early on in the 3rd leading the Yankees 2-0. Minnesota beat Boston 5-2. Morneau's 14th home run. That's a strike. 3-1. Kansas City beat Detroit 6-1. Zach Greinke won again. He's 8-1 in 0.84 ERA as Grilli walks Castro, so that'll push Loney to second base. How about that ERA, George?
Yeah, no, yeah. You're talking about a guy that totally turned the corners around and doing such a great job. I've heard his fastball's been up to 98. How about that?
That's pretty good.
And you think 3 years ago he showed one at 87, and they go, "What's wrong with you?" He goes, "I just bored. Want to see if I could do it." And he made a bet one time. I read an article that was in Sports Illustrated, and he actually told a teammate, he said, "Before I go out," you see Flory's warming up, Randy, he said, told him in the dugout, he said, "First pitch, 50-mile-an-hour curveball." They go, "What?" And he goes, 50-mile-an-hour curveball. And he went to the mound, and the first pitch was a 50-mile-an-hour curveball for a strike. And he came in afterwards, and he said, "What were you doing?" He said, "I just wanted to show you I could do it. You said I couldn't do it. I want to show you I could do it." That's how good this guy was. And then, of course, after getting a grip on baseball and life,
yeah,
he came back. He's pretty special.
He had an anxiety disorder that he has conquered.
You do realize he is like, below zero handicap in golf. Tremendous golfer and musician, but a great golfer.
So
I actually thought I'm going to go play.
Else you have in common with
I'm going to go out and play a little golf. Maybe I'll go on the PGA Tour then.
Yeah.
See if I can hit one between the trees and do all kinds of other things.
That's in there 1-1 on Brad Ausmus. How about Brad? There's only one catcher in the game that's active that has caught more ball games than Brad Ausmus, and that is Ivan Pudge Rodriguez. Jason Kendall's 3rd on that list. That's a strike. Jorge Posada 4th. Jason Varitek 5th. Two and two. Ausmus has thrown a couple of hits out there, scored a couple of runs. Tomorrow's a day game. Ubaldo Jimenez for the Rockies against Clayton Kershaw.
The youngsters, one from the left, one from the right. Great stuff on both sides. Yeah, he did. Ring him up.
3 and 2.
Andy Fletcher didn't even want to ask. Well, I really don't think he went around anyway, but it's 7-1 ball game. Go ahead and ring him up and get in the dugout.
Dexter Fowler in right center glides over and makes the catch. In the inning, there was a hit and a walk, 2 men left. We go to the bottom of the 9th inning. LA 7 and the Rockies 1. Bottom of the 9th inning, the Dodgers will throw a left-hander the Rockies haven't seen yet, Brent Leach, here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Leach will make his 10th appearance, and the Rockies will have Quintanilla, Torrealba, and we shall see. Pitcher spot will be due up third. Rockies have been out hit 12-7 in this ball game. Yesterday they fell 16-6. The Dodgers now with 31 hits in 2 ball games.
Too many.
And Brent Leach is a rookie, and some guys, when they go out to the bullpen, they want to make sure they have all their groceries with them, and some guys have camouflage backpack. Other guys have, some athletic logo on their backpack, and that's his backpack. That's not real. Why did his teammates do that to him?
Well, yeah, I'm not even going to really comment.
Did you ever have to wear one of those?
No.
Didn't do that back in your day?
No.
When did that come into style?
I'm not sure.
Hey, if I'm in the big leagues, I'd wear that. You gotta go. If they would want me to do that, but they allow me to play in the big league games, you'll do that for a year, right?
No.
No. You'd rather do that.
I think
in Springfield?
I think I'm here to get some guys out and play the game and try to win a pennant and get to a World Series. Not carry my daughter's backpack from 3rd grade out to the bullpen. Just one guy's opinion.
I think she kicked that to the curb by 3rd grade.
Yeah, Georgia probably threw it at me. I'm not carrying this thing anywhere anymore.
Yeah, she wouldn't have used that in 3rd grade. 1-0 on Omar Quintanilla. Omar with his first at bat came to the ball game for Clint Barmas. That's a strike. 2-1. Three balls and a strike. George, you said this earlier, the Dodgers 21-8, and in all likelihood going to go to 22-8 after this affair inside the division. That's ball 4. The Padres losing tonight are the only other team at 500 in the division. They're 12-12, but if they lose, they obviously fall a game under 500. It has not been a real strong division, and the Dodgers are really kicking butt.
Well, they are. I mean, that's a polite way to put it.
Yeah.
I mean, they are. They've taken a lot of people out behind the woodshed, and they're the only ones walking back.
Down low to Torrealba. Rick Honeycutt is going to remind Mr. Leach what the score is. Today's Momentum Shift brought to you by Nissan. Get to the Nissan National Tent Event for great deals on reliable vehicles. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Casey Blake against Aaron Cook. Hits one about 390 feet. Clears the bases. It was 1-0 at that point. And that gave the Dodgers a 4-run cushion. Rockies' only run came back in the 5th inning, a solo home run by Clint Barmas against Eric Milton. And there is Clint. I don't know if he got dinged up, George, or something, you know, in that at bat, his last at bat, he flew to center field. Because Quintanilla was an even up change, and you're wondering why he came out at that point in time.
Well, yeah, and why the switch wasn't made around the other way. I mean, it was announced to us here in the broadcast booth it was a double switch at the time.
Two O's in there to Torrealba. It's 2-1. And this is to deep short. Castro with a nice play, and that is the first out of the inning. Seth Smith will be the pinch hitter. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Colorado Rockies and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Colorado Rockies. I think the Dodgers wanted to avoid this, George, and I guess you always have to prepare ahead, otherwise you can get caught. But Jonathan Broxton is tossing down in their bullpen just in case. That reminds me of a story you've often told when Billy was your manager, Billy Martin in New York, and he sent the pitching coach out, and he said, Billy's really upset.
Yeah. I don't know what you're doing, but you're sure making Billy mad. Well, thanks for all the help, Mark.
I was just saying.
Glad you came out.
Yeah, because, you know, Rick Honeycutt went out. Leach is a kid, and he goes out there. He goes, you know, probably said it's 7-1, and Joe, as nice a guy as he is, really doesn't want to get the big guy up.
Yeah, I really don't want to bring this big guy in this ball game, but I do like this 6-run lead. I want to keep it that way.
Here's the 1-1 to Smith. He's been an extraordinary pinch hitter for the Rockies. I'm sure he'd rather be in a situation where he's pinch hitting with the tying run, say, at second base. Not the case tonight. And it's 3-1. That's in there, 3-2. Ball 4. Now the Rockies have 2 on. Dexter Fowler coming up.
And let me remind everybody about the dugout stores that the Rockies have. You know where they are, the locations that are there. And something added to that is the Todd Helton 2000 exclusive collectibles to help celebrate that career hit. Be sure you stop by and check out for locations. Dial 303-832-TEAM for the nearest one next to you.
And Brent Leach just walked a fellow Mississippian. Leach is from Brandon, Mississippi. Went to Southern Miss. I think from Joe Torre's perspective, if he doesn't want to go back down to Southern Mississippi, he better start throwing strikes.
And do it quickly.
That's in there for a strike. I don't know what Joe is. It's hard for, we can see Joe talking. It's hard to see who he's talking to or looking at on the field. One and one. Dexter's 0 for 3 and a walk in the ball game. Fraze, why would you do that here?
I have no idea. Seriously, I don't.
You're up 6 runs. He's trying to keep Quintanilla close.
Well, get some outs. I mean, that's what he's got to be thinking about right now. Trying to show his versatility. I can throw to home and I can throw to second.
In 2 ball games with Leach in there, Torres used everybody in the Dodger bullpen. You look at the scores, you say 16-6, 7-1. You may not think that would have occurred in 2 ball games, but that's the case. On the ground is short. Two outs.
Out of speed, you're not going to turn it. I know Leach would like to, just to get out of this inning, get this game over with. They got the ground ball, quick flip over to Hudson, but the speed of Fowler. Playing 9 innings, running 90 feet, kept the inning alive to allow Tulowitzki a shot at him.
Tulo is single in the first, and then a pop out and a couple of fly balls to right field. Dexter will move up. Does not get credit for a stolen base. One and one. One and two now on Tulowitzki. Leach, a former 6th round pick in the 05 draft. It's 2-2. Strike 3. And that is the ball game. The Dodgers have won again against the Rockies. That's 7 of 8 this year. And the final score 7-1.